this live.
Lisa, 183 passengers were stuck for more than 30 hours near Oak Ridge, Oregon after the Amtrak train hit a tree. Amtrak officials thought, since the town of Oak Ridge didn't have power following a storm and the train did, that it was probably better to keep everyone on board. Some of those passengers posted on social media at the time.
They just did an announcement on that they're making diapers for some of the kids that are on the train. They're not telling us anything except that there's...
Can't get off.
An Amtrak official said they apologized, but with so much snow on the tracks, they had to make the safest call. They'll be issuing refunds and other compensation to those passengers, Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. General Motors is now being sued by the United Auto Workers Union, arguing the current union contract prohibits the planned closings of several plants. GM denies that and says it continues to work with the union on solutions. This is Fox News.
When your family needs medical care, how often do you find the need to visit multiple clinics? When a child has a serious ailment, do you find yourself meeting a medical provider only to learn you must go somewhere else for testing? At the FHP Health Center, you can find multiple specialties and testing services under one roof. And if your family needs urgent care, FHP is there for you with convenient weekday, evening, and weekend hours. Voted the island's best clinic and Pika's best 2 years in a row. FHP, our island, your clinic. Learn more at fhpguam.com.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for our all-new Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. How would you like it?
I'll take a skeptical grandma.
Set in her ways?
A smidge.
Grandma, try this Ultimate Meatball Marinara made with Ultimate Cheesy Garlic Bread. Melted mozzarella, Parmesan, garlic butter spread. It's just like yours.
Like mine? My grandmother's recipe?
Try it.
You know, my grandmother's cheesy garlic bread was never all that.
Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
The House set to vote on a resolution blocking the president's national emergency declaration, which is aimed at using more money for a border wall. With Democrats in the majority is expected to pass the House, but then face a closer vote in the Senate.
They need 4 Republicans to join with Democrats in order to have the majority. At this point, it appears they have 3. Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Tom Tillis of North Carolina. That sets up a potentially awkward vote for President Trump, and we'll see if Leader Mitch McConnell has any tricks in his playbook.
Fox's Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill. The president has already threatened a veto. President Trump arriving earlier today in Vietnam for his second summit with North Korea's leader. Fox's Greg Palcott in South Korea.
With President Trump now in Hanoi, they're waiting to see if he would deliver on one of the big bargaining chips the U.S. has, a declaration of the end of the Korean War. Fighting stopped here some 65 years ago, simply with an armistice. They're also waiting to see what North Korean leader Kim Jong-un might give back in return. There is talk he could agree to shutting down his main nuclear processing center. Here in Seoul, not everybody is happy. There was a small protest in front of the U.S. Embassy. People are concerned that North Korea's human rights abuses are not on the agenda, as they weren't in Singapore. It is estimated there's something like 120,000 people in political gulags in North Korea.
Meantime, President Trump, who is scheduled to dine with the North Korean leader tomorrow night, will meet first with Vietnam's president earlier in the day. Some breaking news on the last undecided race from the midterm elections. For a congressional seat in North Carolina, Republican Mark Harris, who had appeared to be the winner by fewer than 1,000 votes until some ballot issues were called into question and the state elections board ordered a new election. Well, Harris, the Republican, has just announced he will not run in that new election. He is citing health reasons. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
At Guam Regional Medical City, it is our mission to become the island's premier choice for specialty care, like cardiology, pulmonology, neurosciences, orthopedics, oncology services, and more. We aim to protect our island from heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and diabetic complications. But should you suffer from such diseases, we're ready with world-class options, both inpatient and outpatient. For more information, visit us at grmc.gu.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers spent much of yesterday talking about the controversial measure that would require any insurer bidding for the lucrative GovGuam health insurance contract to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City for GovGuam employees, retirees, and their dependents. At the start of the day, Senator Therese Terlahi declared that it is imperative that we take time as necessary to be fully briefed about the fiscal impact before we act. Terlahi suggested sending the measure back to committee, saying the costs are unknown and they may be too high. She made a motion to send that back to committee that failed. During Monday's debate on the same bill, freshman Senator Amanda Shelton expressed concern about acting on the measure without knowing the cost to Guam taxpayers. She asked for a revised fiscal note in hopes of getting a better idea of what the cost would be. BBMR did submit another revised fiscal note yesterday, but it reached the same conclusion. The Bureau is not able to determine the potential cost impact to GovGuam of Bill 30 at this time. The bill was moved to the voting file. It's expected to be acted on at 4:30 this afternoon. Senator Sabina Perez has introduced a measure aimed at protecting Guam's reefs and declining fish population by banning scuba fishing in Guam's waters. Bill 53 would make scuba fishing a felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $5,000. The measure cites a Department of Agriculture report which found that reef fish around the island are declining at an alarming rate and concluded that scuba fishing is a serious threat to all reef fish stocks. Manny Duenas, the president of the Guam Fishermen's Cooperative Association, said the co-op's general stance over the years has been against legislation that adds more restrictions against local fishermen, and he urged senators to turn their eyes to the larger problem of erosion, which he said is smothering the reef fish. We'll have more news after this.
On March 9th, join Bank of Guam for the EFIT Run and Block Party to benefit Guam Cancer Care and American Cancer Society. Our Sunset 2K and 5K run will start at Chamorro Village with showtime at 4 and go time at 5. And don't forget about our block party starting at 4 o'clock, complete with food trucks, a kids zone, live entertainment, and a beer garden, so don't forget your ID. This is a bring your own water bottle event. The EFIT Run and Block Party, Saturday, March 9th. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Guam's Republican Party leaders held a news conference yesterday to underscore their opposition to any tax increases and their commitment to roll back the tax hikes already approved during the last legislature. GOP Party Chairman Jerry Crisostomo said we need to rein in spending first and cut expenses and look at growing our economy before raising taxes. As a party, we strongly oppose raising taxes, said Crisostomo, and we also support the rollback of taxes. Assistant Minority Whip Senator James Moylan highlighted two of the bills that he's already introduced to roll back the liquid fuel tax and the business privilege tax increase, both of which the senator said were regressive taxes that greatly affect the people of Guam. The news conference was called following Democratic Senator Joe San Augustine's bid on Monday to get Bill number 4 on the agenda during this week's session. The measure would correct language in the current budget law to allow a property tax increase to take full effect. The legislature's minority leader, Senator Will Castro, spoke about his opposition to that or more bill, saying the attempt to get it on the agenda this week was a violation of the standing rules. He pointed out that the committee report had not yet been submitted, and he warned that lawmakers would be taking action on a measure that would impose a tax increase. The committee report, however, on Bill 4 has subsequently been submitted, and Senator Joe S. San Augustine yesterday succeeded in getting it placed back on the agenda. It'll be debated today and may be voted on this afternoon. Guam Department of Education this morning announcing that classes have been canceled at Harry S. Truman Elementary School today because of a water main break. The Aspire and other activities at Truman Elementary have also been canceled. Classes should resume tomorrow after the break is repaired. In addition, Southern High School students and staff will have to use the back gate to get into the school campus this morning because of that water main break. Traffic is being diverted while a GWA crew works to repair the broken water line. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
Thank you, Kevin. Partly cloudy skies this morning with isolated light showers. Southeast winds up to about 15 miles an hour, becoming light overnight. Highs 87 degrees and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees. We'll watch the sunset together, you and I, perhaps hand in hand. Now at 6:29 this evening. Sunrise this morning at 6:38. Earlier and earlier as time marches into 2019. There's a high surf advisory until noon along west-facing reefs and a high risk of rip currents until noon along west-facing reefs as well. So watch out for all of that while you're on the road. Now let me, or around the waters, let me see what we've got for you radar-wise so that Mike can give you an idea of what weather's going to be like in the very, very near term, next hour or two.
And it should be said that, Ray, no offense, but the only way we'll be celebrating a sunset hand in hand is if you're handing me a beer at the very moment of sunset.
That could be arranged.
Isolated showers, that's all we can see, and they're just, I don't even think you can call them that. They are just widely isolated smatterings of nothing out there. If you get rain today, you will be lucky. We are getting the southeast winds. They're going to be shifting over to the east. Looking at satellite, I can show you why that's going to happen. Of course, we've got what is still classified as Typhoon Wu-Tip up there to the northwest. It is quickly dissolving. As we can see, though, the wind shear finally taking its toll. It looks like the circulation is starting to separate and all sorts of things are happening. One of the reasons we were kind of surprised that the storm was actually able to get as strong as it was can be seen on the satellite here for those that have real good eyes.
What?
Now that a lot of the upper level clouds have cleared away, we can see the moisture content in the air mass because that's what this particular satellite shows. Look over Guam right now. See those light shades of pink?
Yeah.
In amidst the blue. That's very dry air. There's actually very dry air in the atmosphere, and that's why everyone was really caught by surprise that this thing could have gotten as strong as it did and survived as long as it did in amidst this dry air mass. But it brought enough moisture up with it to do so. Finally, it's dying away. Also to the east, you can see that these trade winds are kind of moving on back in, and we should be seeing a general shift of wind direction from the southeast to the east and then to the east-northeast by Thursday and Friday. And at that point, we're back into the trade wind regime. We may get a surge through here next week, but we'll talk more about that at that time.
When it gets to be next week, 6:14 in the morning. And that's News and Weather Together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Make the good things last longer. Get 3 more days for free on our 3-day prepaid rate plan. That's 6 days of unlimited local calls, SMS, and 1 gig of 4G LTE data per day for just $7.95. Text HS3 to 3282 from your Docomo Pacific prepaid phone to sign up today. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
The Raymond Gibson Show here on the Speed Hump Day Wednesday, brought to you by my friends over at King's Restaurant, where they've got, and now I've got it, the crazy
19 menu in honor of 2019. Some great meals that they put together over the holidays. They said, hey, people like this. Let's keep selling it. And so they do. Breaded fried steak sandwich for lunch. How's that sound? Codon pica sandwiches. Turkey sandwich. Let me just go back to the codon pica sandwich. This is the way you do this. Shredded codon pica, seasoned chicken thighs, and then they put some coleslaw, and then they put that on top of Hawaiian sweet bread. Then they serve that with French fries. Doesn't that sound like a great way to take care of lunch? I think it does. Find it today at King's.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-34 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Good plan here, 6:16 in the morning. The program is also brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. And the guys at Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Make sure I get this out of here because I promised Issa, at the Department of Education, I promised her this was be the only thing that we talked about today. This is the sole topic of the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3. Classes canceled at Harry S. Truman Elementary School. They've got what the typhoon couldn't do, the water did. They've got a water main break that is on the fritz down there. Aspire and other school activities are also canceled for today only. They will resume Thursday, the 28th. Any future changes will be announced. And don't worry, parents, don't worry. What this probably means is that your kids will probably just go to school on like a Saturday or something. We'll just... What? I'm not so happy anymore, Mom and Dad. Did the guy on the radio just say we might have to go to school on a Saturday?
You know, parents aren't real happy about that either because that means they have to take one of their days off and get them there.
I know it. Classes canceled Harry S. Truman today due to a water main breakdown in Santa Rita. Now, what does this say for everybody down in Santa Rita? Do you have water? If you're down in the village and you're hitting the tap and it's dry, that's why. So whether you got kids at Harry S. Truman or not, that's the deal. Southern High will also be using the back gate this morning because of the water break, so traffic will be rerouted there to the back gate. So be aware of that as you're making your way through that area here. Just get out. Just leave. Let me just look at the traffic gizmo now and see what traffic is like. Just get out of the village now while you can. Hurry before things get crazy up by the schools here. All right, let me just scooch down on the thing and look at Agate and Santa Rita. Traffic actually pretty clear down there right now. You shouldn't have too many problems getting into and out of the place, including Sumai and then all the way up to the port. 6:18 in the morning, and welcome to the program. As I like to say, excuse the mess, and the mess is not something that you can see. It's just in my head. And I'll tell you why frequent viewers of the program realize this. There's a certain kind of linearity that you ought to have in a radio show. This show has none of that. There's no linearity here. The thing is, I might be talking about something. I might be riffing on a subject. I might be really, really hot on. And then something else will come up. Some kind of distraction. Some kind of squirrel. And it'll cause me to shift gears. And today is exactly one of those days. A lot in my head that's left over from yesterday and the day before, and we're just try to make it through while it's very interesting. You can contribute now to the distractions, all the shiny. Use the Facebook Live or send me a WhatsApp at 988-5874, 988-5874 for the WhatsApp, or just the email is raygibsonshow@gmail.com. I read all of them. I might even read some of them on the air. We'll just have to see what happens. kids. All right, 6:19 in the morning. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post here in the studio with me, and a number of interesting stories on the front page of the Daily Post. We'll go over those here in a couple of minutes. Your thoughts on the scuba fishing ban? What do you think about that? I don't, my instincts are to protect the fishermen and to not put another burden in front of the guys that are going out there that just need to provide for their families. Now, are there people out there that are taking advantage of it? Are there people out there that are using tanks and sucking the reefs dry? Probably. And so let's enforce the current laws on those guys. And leave, if you want to go fishing, whether you got a tank on your back or whether you can hold your breath, you ought to be able to go out and get fish.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to stop is the harvesting of the reef fish for the aquarium people, because that's really the biggest problem. It's not really the fishermen who are out there fishing for food. It's the guys that are gathering the fish up to sell them, and that's probably not a cool thing. But how many fish can people in scuba gear get anyway, compared to guys in nets and other things? That makes no sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we'll find Manny Duane. I know he's got some thoughts on this. His instincts are to protect the fishermen as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of those guys. I used to sit up at Arunau and watch a steady parade of boats go up and down the reef there. And this is 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. They weren't out there on a pleasure cruise. These boats completely manned with guys with tanks that would go over the side and go and catch as many fish as they want to, and the fish would end up in fish stores around here. I would hope. So I know that might be a part of the conversation that we get into. It's Michael Knight, the voice you just heard. He takes care of weather and pushing the buttons when people call up the radio station at 888-8255. That's still our phone number, right? 888-8255.
It is. You forget another one of my responsibilities is to say really dumb stuff sometimes.
Hey, no problem. It takes a little pressure off of me. I got the 4 hours of the program. I cannot have the monopoly on dumb stuff. We got to talk about the smart people on the Facebook Live.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
And in a surprise come from behind move, John Ray Taitano is the first one to hit me up with a buenas. Usually I get a wave and a thumbs up from Ishmael. Usually he's first, but John Ray snuck in there. Albert Eliason is there. Lynn Vince Borja Polino with the morning. John St. Nicholas says, good morning. I'll slow down. We move too fast sometimes. It is speed bump day. It's the Wednesday. It's the day I don't refer to as hump day because, I try to be atypical of everybody else that you're going to hear on the radio. Lillian Cruz there. Good morning, Ray, Kevin, and Michael. And I love it when everybody remembers that there's two other people in the studio besides me. Like Rico Blancaflor, who was saying hello to everybody. Bob Ellsworth, good morning. And Randy Kruger, Pam Duvall, Chris Abelencha is online. Doris Mendiola and Greg Massey are there. Cousin Tommy Marcinus, Nick Perlosky, Mark Cruz already online and waving and Shaka.
You got to have a Shaka.
There's people lose their mind when Chamorros do the Shaka thing because they're like, dude, that's Hawaiian. We should have our own thing here. Is the Shaka?
Well, we do, but we can't show that one on.
When I'm driving, you can see it. Ryan St. Nicholas, hey, Rai Joyce, Bamba is there. Almost the weekend. You can almost smell the weekend, says Tommy. Dave Duenas is online. Erica Borja, Ken Leon Guerrero with the very first of our Ken Leon Guerrero editorial commentary. Hold on to your wallets. The 35th legislature is now in session, and it's not looking like a good thing for taxpayers. Putting Bill 30-35 into the voting file without doing their full due diligence shows an unbelievable level of contempt for the taxpayers of Guam. We definitely will not see senators add a provision that any increases in premiums will be paid by government employees who choose the take care option. That would be political suicide. So let's see which senators are going to be good guardians of the taxpayer dollar. I'll be watching very, very closely. I felt like I was channeling my grandfather this morning, my sainted grandfather, Ray Underwood. And my granddaddy, he liked to whistle. And he ate birdseed because he said it could help him whistle. And sometimes I'd hear him whistle Three Blind Mice. You know that song, Three Blind Mice? And you can almost hear it. You can almost hear an older gentleman whistling Three Blind Mice, right?
Especially when they're good at it.
Yeah, he was good at it. He could do it in a bunch of different. But I'm channeling him, but the lyrics are different. It's in my head, it's not Three Blind Mice, it's 15 Blind Mice. is starting to. Did you see? There's some Facebook commentary, and I don't know who you're hooked up with on the social medias, but I'm getting comments from people on Facebook saying this might be the dumbest batch of senators that we've ever had in the history of the Guam Congress. I'm not prepared to go that far out, but I will say it will be a move of terminal dumbness if you guys pass this measure without any clue as to how much this is going to cost. And I don't care, because they're going to say the retiree, the employee of the government of Guam is only going to pay this, but and they're going to say the government of Guam pays the other side of it. There's no government of Guam. We are the government of Guam. The taxpayers are the government of Guam. So when they say that, don't let them pull the wool over their eyes, over your eyes, and make you blind as well. That's our money. What is the difference going to be? How much more is it going to cost the taxpayers in order to get into this? So as if you are a senator in the 15th Guam legislature, or any one of the innumerable staffers that work for the folks over at the legislatures, please let them know that all of us are watching in this first session of the legislature. And I want to know who it was that supported the amendment that took that stupid or more legislation and got it on the agenda. There was a vote. They did this the other day, and there were only a couple of people supporting it.
San Augustine's bill.
I know it's San Augustine's bill, but how did it get back on the agenda? Don't they have to vote it back on the floor?
Yeah, there was no objections. It wasn't like everybody raised their hands.
Just nobody objected to it.
Yeah, they just he had the votes to get it on.
What about the stalwart Republicans?
Speaker Munion's pretty quick with that gavel. I was watching the other day. Yeah.
Who's that?
Speaker Munoz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's quick with that gavel.
Yeah, or is it recessed out?
Yeah,
so about
any objections, blank.
Let's see if we can find the YouTube picture where the people had their hands raised on that measure. I'll get back to
that. We can find out who it was that supported this cockamamie idea. This is not the time to be tax increases. I know that there's some of you that say the or more thing merely corrects a mistake that was made by the 34th Guam legislature. Well, the mistake was made. That doesn't mean that we've got to correct it and live with it. Anyway, so I'm sure there'll be a little bit more riffing on that. Charlene Marchessault is there. Jane Sasai. James Howard, Heather Parrish, Jackie Cabrera says, Buenas, starting to warm up here in Washington State. Was low 30s and now warmed up to the low 40s. Jackie, put on your bikini and head out to the lake. It's in the low 40s now up in Washington State. Jules Elmer's there. Ron and Cindy De La Rosa. Cheryl Ochai, Hoffa to Andy Tidenko. Joe Bloss says, good morning, Guam, Ray, and the crew. Ray Burgess. Sorry, that's Roy Burgess, running buddy. Nita Muffness with the pretty Valentine's eyes. Bob Lizama, Francie Salas. Mark Mendiola. Mark and I spent some time on the phone yesterday on an issue that one of these days we'll talk about on the air. It'll be fun. Lillian Cruz and Bert Duarte's there. Tai Finakpo. Hey! I know the real life. That's the superhero name of a friend of mine, Tai Finakpo. And Jordine Nicole Titano, Katie Garcia Baltazar, Vicky Ganashes Borja, since we're doing three names, Shelley Gibson, Ken LG says we're watching the legislature and expectations are sinking fast. Oh, come on now, Ken. 100 days. It's just too easy. It's just too easy. It's just bang right there, isn't it? Yeah. 15 blind mice. Let's see who can take off the blind glasses and the white canes and take a look at this thing. It just what's the rush? What is the rush? Do we have to rush through this 30-35? Is the world going to end? Will people die if we don't get an answer on this question right now and take a couple the time that is necessary to be able to sort out a scenario of possible answers on how much this is going to cost the taxpayers, which is where I kind of end up in a conversation yesterday. I had Eric Plinsky and Francis Santos from Guam Regional Medical City there on the Dog and Pony Tour. And came by the radio station, spent an hour talking about all the different issues that are in front of them and all of the points that the, quote, opposition would bring up. I tried to bring up, and they, would have their answers and their various responses to all of those things. But at the end of it, still comes down to the question that I have been asking with regard to health care for employees and retirees of the government of Guam. I'm not suggesting that they should not have that. I think people work hard and you earn it, same way that I work hard and I earn mine. So I don't see, for me, it's not a question of that. It's just how much do I, as a taxpayer, have to pay? How much additional do I have to pay on top of all of the other taxes and fees that always seem to be going up in the government of Guam? Anyway, we've got plenty of that to talk about here this morning, and whatever else it is that you want to talk about as you are no doubt whistling in your own head and maybe out loud, Three Blind Mice. It's 6:30 in the morning and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, the Guam Police Department is looking for a bronze-colored 2010 Hyundai Tucson with dark-tinted windows, which may have belonged to the Korean man who was found dead last week at a construction company's storage lot in Harmon. The day after the man's body was found and a death investigation opened, police issued a release asking for the public's help in connection with a theft of motor vehicle investigation. It's not often that police issue a community-wide notice asking for help in locating a stolen vehicle. Police spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau yesterday declined to say whether there was a connection between the dead man and the stolen vehicle, but DGX General Manager Paige Butler telling the Guam Daily Post the stolen vehicle description matches the description of the vehicle that belonged to the victim, who he knew as Mr. Lee. Butler said when police spoke with him about the incident last week, they felt like Mr. Lee's vehicle might have been stolen. Anyone with information about that stolen bronze-colored 2010 Hyundai Tucson with dark-tinted windows is asked to call the police dispatch line at 472-8911 or call Guam Crime Stoppers at 477-HELP. The Consolidated Commission on Utilities last night approving a 70-day notification process for back billing. Guam law allows GWA to issue back bills, charging customers up to 4 months' worth of water usage if the utility discovers a faulty meter that failed to record that usage. The back billed charge is based on a customer's average daily consumption. GWA is implementing the notification policy following customer complaints about lack of timely notification. The CCU last night also voted to establish a new GWA customer refund account after the utility had to close its old account at the Bank of Guam when money was withdrawn from that account using fake checks. In the wake of Typhoon Wu-Tip, the Department of Public Health issuing a mosquito warning. A release from the department yesterday advises the public to clear areas of standing water on their property where mosquitoes may breed. Public Health advises that the storm's rainfall has created conditions that encourage the spread of mosquitoes, particularly the Aedes species that breeds in standing water that may collect in old tires and open containers. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Okay, I think I will. 6:33 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. Swing by an iConnect or call them at 888-8888 and ask about the great plans that they've got for 2019. Mobile, yep. Internet, yep. Even push to talk at iConnect.
Attention homeowners, if you don't have a solar energy system on your roof from Micronesia Renewable Energy, now is the time to get one. MRE solar energy systems now come with battery storage for zero money down. This means that your home will have power even when the island power isn't available, like during power outages or during and after storms. The inconvenience of not having power for your home is a thing of the past. Don't be left in the dark. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
I got you. Portions of the program here brought to you by Wendy's, and they asked the question: if your world is full of the same old lame old hamburgers, hit reset. That's not much of a question. I read it wrong. No! Is your world full of same old lame old hamburgers? Well, then hit reset, because Wendy's did and made a whole new world with the new Made to Crave menu. Yes, the peppercorn mushroom milk with savory mushrooms, which is why they call it that. The barbecue cheeseburger with sweet and smoky barbecue sauce, which is why they call it that. And then the Sauceum sauce bacon cheeseburger with bacon for days. They could have called it the Sauceum. They put the bacon in there. It's got both of them, and it's good. It's rocking your world with Wendy's, and they're Made to Crave menu. Try it today.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegui of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Looking, checking, seeing. This the thing. The traffic gizmo is working. It is on right now. We've put the thing on about 3:30 this morning, and it has been just calculating millions of data points here. 6:30, and let me just try to get to the salient ones. Don't see any major traffic issues right now. I'm watching traffic build southbound Marine Corps Drive, of course, somewhere between Dedido, the intersection of Route 1 and 3, and the intersection at the Micronesia Mall. Starting to busy up a little bit there. Don't see too much else. All the other major intersections look like they're looking good. Heading into Anderson Air Force Base, you might see a couple of cars lined up over at the front. Don't see too much in front of Navy Hospital. Don't see anything in front of Big Navy in Sumai. So that's what we got here for you. 6:35 in the morning. Right now, traffic on the point.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
Yes, I got another note from Issa from the Department of Education. She said, Ray, you're not talking about Harry S. Truman enough. Actually, that's not true. I just like saying her name on the radio. Classes are canceled at Harry S. Truman because there's a water main break in the village of Santa Rita this morning. Aspire and other school activities also canceled. Classes scheduled to resume tomorrow. Any future changes will be announced, and they apologize for any inconvenience that this may cause for parents of Harry S. Truman Elementary School, because that means now you've got to try to figure out what it is that you're going to do to keep the kids occupied all day. Dude, I gotta work. Take your kids to work. How much fun is that going to be? You know, and have them go and, you know what? Here's the thing. They're not going into session until 4 today, right? The legislature's, what's
9 o'clock this morning, they go into session. They'll probably debate Bill 4, but the voting is scheduled for 4:30 this afternoon.
Okay, so they will be going into session earlier today.
At
okay,
9,
I thought that was okay. So here's what I want you to do. For those of you that have no idea what to do with the kids, take them to the legislature, and then you can watch they can learn about democracy and civics and how our government works. In the very least, it'll give the senators something that they can look at. There's something they can see. We always talk about the kids are our future. Right there, we'll bring the kids up into the gallery at the legislature, and the senators will be able to look right at them as they pass legislation that will be more expensive for those children to live with when they finally become adults. Wouldn't that be a great way to handle things? 6:38 in the morning, and other items on the table of contents. Yes, there are other items that we've got to play around with here. We've got the problems with abandoned tires up in Dedido. I want to talk to the mayor about this because we've had the conversation before. There are these, for lack of a better word, kind of drive-by. You usually see them up in the north end of town. You get these kind of drive-by tire shops, right, where you get a guy and he's pretty handy with mechanics and tools and stuff, and you show up at his place with new tires, and he'll take off the old tires and stick the new ones on the wheels, and then bang, you're off on your merry way. And it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money in some cases because they're not paying rent anywhere. My guess is they probably aren't paying any business privilege taxes. They probably aren't paying any of the recycling fees that go along with these tires. So sure, it's going to be cheaper to go to these drive-bys out in the villages as opposed to maybe one of the more established tire places that we have on Guam that are paying taxes and following the rules and all of that kind of thing. And it occurs, I wonder how it is that these guys are allowed to continue to persist as long as they do. Front page of the Guam Daily Post here shows a whole bunch of dumped tires, and here's the problem with the dumped tires. Number one, it's an eyesore. Number two, perfect breeding ground for the vectors. Isn't that what they call them over at Public Health? The mosquitoes and the bugs that find a way to take advantage of the water that's just sitting in those tires. They're vector creatures, aren't they?
Aedes is what the
is what?
AEDES. Aedes. That's the breed of mosquito that was cited in the release.
Is it? Okay, but I mean, but the vector creatures, I think they use the term vector is what pops in my head as I'm looking at that. I'm just trying to use the same big words that they might use over there. But here's the thing: is the mosquitoes might pick up a disease somewhere, and then you're going to get bit by the mosquito because you're not me or Mike. And that will become a problem for you. But there's got to be some way that we can enforce this with these kind of roving tire stops. And I don't know, maybe just have like the police go and tell them to stop doing that.
Start offering money for people to recycle their tires, and believe me, they would all get off of the streets very, very quickly. You would have people who are on welfare out collecting tires to take them in and make the money.
There ought to be something like that. I clipped this, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And it looks like the public comment period is going on until March the 29th for Guahan Waste Control, Inc.'s waste tire processing facility that they're going to be putting in the Harmon Industrial Park, asking for some kind of permitting there. And I'm kind of curious as to what this tire processing facility is going to do.
So you can take the tires and grind them up, and again, you can use them for playground cushions. You can take the materials, sell it to other recyclers who can then take and turn those things into all manner of different type of recyclable, usable items.
But I don't know if there's a market for it. I mean, we've got markets for paper and plastic and that kind of thing. But it's so small in comparison to what else is going on out in other parts of the world, and the cost to ship the goods off island to these processing facilities or people that would buy them is also quite prohibitive as well.
The Chinese buy this stuff.
They're not buying it. Look it up. They have not been buying a whole lot of that stuff lately, and one of the reasons why I think there's stockpiles of tires and paper and plastic goods here on Guam. 888-8255-888-TALK. So what is Governor Ken Leon Guerrero, the other Governor LG, what is he outraged about this morning? Good morning, Kenny.
The list is long. Since we're talking tires and enforcement, one day I was driving behind those tire dispensing operations, where they drive down the road throwing tires every 100 feet out of the back of a pickup truck.
They have a what? What?
Oh, yeah. These guys with tire companies, and the tire companies are collecting.
Hey, do me a favor, Ken. I need you to call me back. We don't have a good cell channel working right now, or you're far away from a cell thing because you're breaking up a little bit. Just hang up and dial again. Sometimes you just do a power reboot on the thing, and maybe we'll get a better sound coming out of this thing. So that is one of those issues. These roving repair shops, and we got to find a way to shut them down and pull them into the fabric of the regular tire economy here, where we can keep track of those kinds of things. I'm one of those guys. Well, from time to time, run down in Radio Barragata, which is right behind Commercial Tire Center. Is the way that I get in there is right behind Commercial Tire Center, and to me, you see these big stacks of tires that they've got out there before they're able to ship them off to wherever it is that those guys do it with. And for me, I look at them and go, wow, what a waste of rubber, right? There's got to be something more that we can do with it. There's one of my, it's not one of my favorite Facebook videos, but there is a Facebook video of a guy, I don't know, in India, Sri Lanka or someplace, where he makes Zoris out of tires. Can you remember the 60s? That was a big craft, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was. Everybody wanted Jeep tire sandals,
Yeah.
Going back to my story, I was following this guy in a pickup truck, and he was throwing tires on our property, so I pulled him over, got into a little discussion with him. He's getting paid $2 a tire to dispose of these tires from tire guys. He wouldn't tell me who. Mm-hmm. So I called and reported it to the police. And the police told me that they couldn't do anything about it because they did not witness the tires being thrown from the truck into the jungle. They said I had to call EPA. So I called EPA, gave them the license plate number of the truck, the name the guy gave me, and told them where the tires were. But they couldn't do anything about it.
Perfect opportunity for the mayors to issue a citation now that they have the authority.
Right. Ken, did you go to the mayor? Did you find a mayor? Because they have the citation books. They've had the authority, and apparently they've had the training now to be able to do it. But I think you're going to run into the same batch of excuses.
Yeah, probably. Right now, I'm pretty sure the mayor's not happy with me because our mayor here in Santa Rita is one of the big champions on casino gambling for Liberation Day. So he might revoke my residency letter, and I won't be able to get my real ID driver's license. I mean, political.
No, you don't. No, you don't need that. You don't need that. The myth and legend of the real ID. I think you should be able to go in with like a couple of bills, power bill, water bill, or something that says that Ken Leon Guerrero is attached to this village and this address.
But Mike made an excellent suggestion. Instead of, everybody that gets, I had tires a little while ago put on my truck. It cost me $20 recycling fee.
Yes.
So what we should do is make sure, in the mainland, where I lived in Northern California, you never saw bottles and cans on the side of the road because people looked at it as a source of income, and people would actually walk up and down the roads in California picking up cans and bottles and then turn them in. Well, just imagine if we did the same thing for recycling. Mike's idea was excellent. People pick up tires, take them in, and get the $5 because that money is supposed to be turned into the recycling fund.
But I wonder if number one, is there money in the recycling fund?
There was enough to spend $3.5 million on pickup trucks for all the mayors a couple of years ago.
I do remember that. Yes, I remember. That was the first time I ever got mad at Eric Palacios because I said, wait a second, and because we were all looking at those trucks going, all right, and they're to be used for what? Oh, to support recycling in the village. Well, wait a second. How not recycling in the village when you're taking your kids to school in it, is it? Is it recycling in the village when you're driving around and getting hot dogs at the gas station? Is it recycling when you're picking up people at the airport? I've got pictures. People would send me pictures of this stuff because they knew that I was nuts about it.
Yeah. Well, this is instead of getting the next round of pickup trucks for the mayors, they should just use the $3.5 million they've probably collected by now and reward people who bring in tires. Somebody could come up to our property here in Santa Rita, and they could easily pull 150, 250 tires without walking more than 20 feet into the jungle. So at $5 a piece, hey.
You need a bigger fence there, people. If people are dumping at that level, you need a bigger fence out there. 6:47 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TA. Okay. Listen, I got Sean Gumatauta on the other line. I wanted to talk with him about the juvenile drug court graduation thing I think that they had. But I did want to give you an opportunity to send a warning out to this batch of people over in the 35th Guam legislature, the 15 blind mice, that they cannot go walking into 30-35 without due diligence.
Well, absolutely. If they thought the pay raises were bad, this is going to be even worse because what this does is it reaches deep into our pockets. We don't know how much money it is. It's like me asking you to sign a blank check and give it to me and then letting me go to a store. Or give me your credit card.
Right. Well, and we put them there. We can take them out. I know it's early in the process, but it is one of those things that we've really got to look at. And before you make a decision, I can see this happening. I can see these guys just being bamboozled and steamrollered into voting on something. A yes or no vote. You still don't know what it is.
Yeah, and there is a right that we haven't tried yet here. It's called recall. It would be a fun thing to try, just for kicks and giggles, and we would look for a good target. And right now, it's looking like Tina Munoz Barnes.
I gotta run. 6:48. I'll see you soon.
Right.
Who is it? Is it Tina on 3? Who's on 3? Is it one of the 15 blind mice? Well, just type it in so I can see it. 888-8255. Ken, I gotta run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
All right, bye.
All right. Melissa Savares is on the line. Mayor, good morning.
Good morning, Ray.
I'm passing over Sean Gumatauta. I just jumped right over him to get to you because I wanted to find out about these tires up in the Apaupa housing area that are on the front page of the Daily Post. Are these from one of those roving tire guys that are a menace in your village?
Roving, yes, they are.
It is, right? So we've talked about this where guys will just kind of set up shop and take in cars and change out tires, but they don't dispose of the tires.
Well, yeah, and then they have their stack, and then they take off.
Well, stop letting them set up their business.
Yeah, I'm not. They just plunder themselves, Ray, and they don't get permission from us because that's just that side of. They just have their peddler's license and they have their trailer, then they put themselves there. sometimes we don't even know they're there until we see the trailer and people pulling in.
Are there no police officers on patrol in the village that might be able to identify these guys and say, listen, you cannot have, I mean, a peddler's license. I mean, that's fine for a food truck, but these guys are pulling tires off of cars and just leaving them there, just stacking them up.
Yeah, so we're working with Guam EPA. I've had this discussion with Glenn already. So,
oh, those guys can be useless. You know that. I mean, this is not the first time we've had this problem.
Yeah. Well, they're not renewing business licenses for those people, so at this time.
I'm sure that makes no difference to them whatsoever. I got to. So if you go over to Daphne and Daphne says no because you're not cleaning up after yourselves, they'll just go find someplace else and do it in the other boondocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking some kind of armed response at this point might get somebody's attention.
Yeah.
Taser them, huh? But listen, there ought to be some kind of hotline. Can be if people see one of these, fly by night, side of the road tire shops, can they just call you so that you can go over there and make sure that they know the mayor's? I've got my eyes on you. I'm Mayor Savars. I've got my eyes on you, and you better clean this place up when you're done.
Yeah, they can give us a call, and we'll shoo them away.
Shoo them away, like the panhandlers. Okay, Ned, I'll talk to you pretty soon. I just want to double check on because I wanted to make sure that I was speaking about people that were I think illegitimately involved in the tire business and aren't seeing to the recycling and probably not collecting a recycling fee on any of the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll talk to you pretty soon, Mayor. Go and cite. Is there a contest among the mayors to see who can cite more people?
No, there isn't.
There should be, like in the police department. They give away the color TV to the police officer that has the most tickets.
Well, we'll see about that.
All right, you're my girl. I'll talk to you pretty soon. 6:51 and change. All right, and there's the busiest guy on Guam, Shawnee Gumatau. Sean, you got water down there?
We sure do.
All right, Santa Rita doesn't have any water. I was wondering if it might be trickling over to where you were.
No, we're good in Telefofo today.
Happy to hear that. God's country, McGott.
Oh, yes, absolutely. and why is everybody so negative this morning, man? Those mayors and everyone, they do a fantastic job.
I'm not mad at the mayors. I want them to do more citations, but I'm annoyed that, and it's probably the same bunch of guys that have these roving tire shops that will put the tire on the guy's car and take off the old tires, but aren't doing anything with them. They're just leaving them piled up. I mean, you don't want that.
In those citations, they get those funds back, and they can put it back in their villages. That's what we want them to do.
Right. I mean, so that you don't want this in your village. You don't want that going on in Telefofo, right?
No, absolutely not, man.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So I'm hot on the mayors because now they've got the power to issue these citations, and I frankly think there ought to be a contest. I'll tell you what. I'll work with Hotel. I'll get you a nice dinner in a hotel room for the weekend to the mayor that issues the most citations.
Okay, that means everybody behave, and Ray's going to give out free stuff.
And we'll do it per capita. We'll do it per capita because otherwise Dedito's going to win.
Yes, they might.
Because they got bigger population, and Telefofo is going to lose because everybody in Telefofo is chaste and pure, like Shawnee.
Our yards are clean.
God bless you. Hey, juvenile drug court. I saw a picture of my cousin Mike Berdalio doing something with somebody in the newspaper. Does that have to do with the drug court program? And I didn't know it went to the juveniles.
Yes, actually, we graduated 4 from our juvenile drug court program yesterday, and earlier in your calls, it was obviously people are always concerned about the community not getting behind stuff, but one of the big partners of the juvenile drug court is the Guam Chamber of Commerce, our Guam National Guard. They have a drug unit inside the Guam National Guard, our U.S. Navy. They're all part of this effort to kind of help shape our kids. Those kids who kind of went a little bit astray. When we have 4 graduates in a program that takes 18 months to get through, it was a really good thing yesterday. And I think those kids were very stoked. They learned some good techniques to kind of get them through some of the pressures that they might see with drugs and alcohol. But these kids, they worked really hard, and they were rewarded with that. They got their cases dismissed and expunged, and they kind of started anew.
That is a big deal, and it means that as these kids make it through the rest of their lives, they won't have this blemish on their record. And in some cases, they're going to be employers that might look the other way on them because they made this mistake when they were young. But they've corrected it. They've corrected themselves, and now have a better opportunity to participate in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Monty McDowell offered all those kids jobs at Advanced Management while they were at it. So, I mean, at least in terms of looking at opportunities,
nice.
What the Juvenile Drug Court does, yeah, there's some great opportunities for these young people to kind of start anew, which is great.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that and the other great things that are happening over at the court. Every once in a while, you know, there's a part of me, and you know this, that wants to be really, really hard on crime and criminals, but recognize that when you've got somebody that might be able to be saved, my preference is save them before we stick them in the criminal justice system and turn them into undergrads, if you will, in crime.
That's right, and you know, with all of this, it's kind of interesting you say that because there is a lot of good things happening at the court. And by the way, we'll be coming back to see you sometime in May with Law Week coming very quickly. So it's, you know, part of the 75th anniversary of liberation. You can expect that much of the same will be for our Guam Law Week, Law Day activities, and again, positive activities to showcase what the law can do for everyone, and it's all good.
Yeah, well, you'll need a bigger venue, I think, for the mock trials that are coming up. I am talking to more and more parents that have all of this. Seems like everybody's kid now is involved in a mock trial for somebody's school or something like that, and they're already practicing, right?
Yes, including my kid. My youngest kid is at Talafofo. So, yes, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going to need to, one of these days, you're going to have to just pull them all into the Deuce-It and use every room that you've got there and, you know, work your way up into the big hall.
And I think we added 3 new schools this year, so you're right. So it is getting a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Well, mock trial's fun. It's good for the kids, and there's so many of the kids that have come out of mock trials and that kind of thing over the years that have actually pursued a career as JDs. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Well, Shawnee, listen, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you got to get the kids to school and get on with your Wednesday morning. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, bud. It's 6:56 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. And the questions that I've got on my WhatsApp is, wow, did you see the Guam blog and the point that they were making on the actual Guam blog? And yeah, I did see the headline on that. You might want to check out and see what Romy's talking about. Some of it has to do with Lulian Guerrero's attempts to kill Guam Memorial Hospital. Maybe it might be an extreme view. But see what he's got to say about that. 888-8255, as I said, is the phone number around here for whatever it is that's going to be working on you this morning. I have not you checked the Facebook in a little bit to see who else is playing around. Carmelian Guerrero is there. Yoich Rengil, Longil Itatao. Jeff Pleadwell is on. Eunice Mendiola, Renee, and Pat Taitui. Nice to see Joe Flores hanging out. James Howard, use the tires to fill the potholes. Grind them and patch them. Hey, listen, I'm not against recycling. I don't know. I don't know how much that we can do here. How do I say? I don't have a clean water thing at the house. Right? So when I need water, make coffee, cook rice, whatever, I generally use water bottles that I buy at the store. And I hate this. My least favorite way of getting water is in plastic water bottles because I go through a bunch of them in a week between cooking and making coffee and using them in my for running. I just go through a lot of plastic bottles. And I wish there was a way that I could segregate those and take them to some place where they can go and melt them down and make telephone poles out of them. I don't know what you want to do with these things, but there are ways that you can do that, where you can take this plastic stuff that they put sodas and teas and water in, and you clean them out and you stick them in a machine, and at the end of the machine comes something that looks like a plank of wood. And because it's made of this really strong plastic, practically indestructible. Apparently, only turtles can eat them. You can make these things. You make park benches out of them. I'm sure that you could use them for some kind of siding in the house, and they're probably pretty strong. So it would seem to me that maybe there's kind of instead of saying we'll package all of this stuff and send it to somebody in China, there's got to be a private kind of commercial invisible hand solution for somebody to go and get something like that, feed the machines with the endless supply of plastic bottles that we get around here, and then turn it into something that you and I might be able to buy. And like I said, it's just whatever you would use wood for, you could use this stuff instead. Right, because I think it's that strong. And then all of my lady friends drink wine like you wouldn't believe. Apparently, that's the only way that they can tolerate me. And so, as a consequence, come up with a whole bunch of empty glass bottles. And why don't we have a place here on Guam where we can take these glass bottles and crush them into fine particles and then sell that back to Hawaiian Rock and Black Construction so that they can use that as part of the friction course on the roads?
I use vodka to tolerate you, Ray.
You know, that's the great thing about vodka. It looks like water. And until you talk, nobody can tell. It's, wow, 7 o'clock in the morning already? Look at the clock. Lots more to talk about. Stay close to the radio. Stay close to the phone. You might need them both. We're KUSG Agania.
Decision time on Capitol Hill. Lisa Brady, Fox News. What amounts to an effort to push back on the president's emergency declaration. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on the Hill.
House Democrats likely have the votes on their own to pass a resolution terminating President Trump's national emergency.
We are urging our colleagues to not just talk the talk with respect to the House as a separate and co-equal branch of government, but walking the walk.
House Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries calls the border emergency manufactured. A few House Republicans have signaled support, though most argue the president is within his authority to secure the southern border. Approval in the House would send the measure to the Senate, where it could be adopted with enough GOP support. President Trump says he would veto. Lisa.
And Jared, White House Communications Chief Mercedes Schlapp says the president will defend his national emergency.
It wasn't too long ago that President Obama declared a national emergency on transnational criminal organizations, including drug cartels on the southern border. So we have plenty of these examples that national emergencies have been declared.
But the declaration is also being challenged in court. One of the candidates is pulling out of the do-over recently ordered by state election officials in the only unsettled congressional midterm in the country. Republican Mark Harris, citing health reasons.
This comes less than a week after North Carolina officials voted unanimously to hold a new election in the 9th Congressional District in North Carolina because of voter irregularities. Harris beat Democrat Dan McCready by less than 1,000 votes, but the state did not certify the outcome because of suspicions that a political operative and convicted felon that Harris hired, Leslie McCrae Dallas, tampered with mail-in absentee ballots in rural Bladen County. Now, Dallas has denied wrongdoing.
Fox's Brian Yennis. Harris now has surgery scheduled next month after a blood infection that led to 2 strokes. This is Fox News.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-3 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Fiat Chrysler announcing a more than $4 billion plan to invest in Detroit and surrounding suburbs, designed to translate to more than 6,000 jobs.
This investment is going to have ripple effects across our entire state and across the whole upper Midwest, for that matter, creating new opportunities for local businesses, providing a platform for further investment throughout our state.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer hailing the plan, which would reopen a shuttered engine plant and convert another to build all new or next generation SUVs. Now, this does involve proposed tax incentives, so it would need approvals. City officials so far have a memorandum of understanding signed with the automaker. Meantime, General Motors, planning to shutter several plants as part of a restructuring, is now being sued by the United Auto Workers Union, arguing that under its current contract, those closures are prohibited. The UN Security Council holding a meeting on Venezuela requested by the U.S., keeping up the pressure on disputed President Nicolas Maduro to allow a transition of power.
Any additional time Maduro spends in power is additional time he will use to oppress the Venezuelan people. This has been proven time and again. U.S. envoy to Venezuela, Elliot Abrams, Fox's Rich Edson at the State Department.
This week, the administration has announced sanctions on more Maduro regime officials and is urging regional leaders to freeze the assets of Venezuela's state oil company. Despite the growing pressure, Maduro refuses to yield power to opposition leader and interim President Juan Guaido, though there are also reports that hundreds of Venezuelan police officers and soldiers have defected, though it appears as though the military leadership in that country, much of it, still supports Maduro.
Maduro accuses the U.S. of trying to stage a coup. Stocks finish lower. They had been fluctuating during the session, with the Dow down about 34 points at the closing bell, still finishing over 26K. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959. At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger, loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between two buns. Chili's. More life happens here.
Attention homeowners. MRE Solar Energy Systems now come with battery storage for zero money down. This means that your home will have power even when the island power isn't available, like during power outages or during and after storms. The inconvenience of not having power for your home is a thing of the past. It's solar with battery storage exclusively by Micronesia Renewable Energy. Don't be left in the dark. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE. The smarter choice.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan, and here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Guam Police Department looking for a bronze-colored 2010 Hyundai Tucson with dark tinted windows, which may have belonged to the Korean man who was found dead last week at a construction company storage lot in Harmon. The day after the man's body was found and a death investigation was opened, police issued a release asking for the public's assistance in connection with a theft of motor vehicle investigation. It's not often that police issue a community-wide notice asking for help in locating a stolen vehicle. Police spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau yesterday declined to say whether there may be a connection between the dead man and the vehicle, but DGX General Manager Paige Butler telling the Guam Daily Post yesterday that the stolen vehicle description matches the description of the vehicle that belonged to the victim, who Paige knew as Mr. Lee. Butler said when police spoke with him, they felt like the vehicle might have been stolen, he said. Anyone with information about that stolen bronze-colored 2010 Hyundai Tucson with dark-tinted windows is asked to call the police dispatch line at 472-8911 or call Guam Crime Stoppers at 477-HELP. Guam lawmakers spent much of yesterday talking about the controversial measure that would require any insurer bidding for the lucrative GovGuam health insurance contract to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City for GovGuam employees, retirees, and their dependents. At the start of the day, Senator Therese Terlahi declared that it is imperative that we take time as necessary to be fully briefed about the fiscal impact before we act. Terlahi suggested sending the measure back to committee, saying the costs are unknown and they may be too high. However, her motion to send Bill 30 back to the committee failed, with only Senator Sabina Perez raising her hand with Terlahi in support of sending it back to committee. During Monday's debate on the same bill, freshman Senator Amanda Shelton expressed concern about acting on the measure without knowing the cost to Guam taxpayers. She asked for a revised fiscal note in hopes of getting a better idea of what the cost would be. BBMR submitted another revised fiscal note yesterday, but it reached the same conclusion as the previous notes. The Bureau is not able to determine the potential cost impact to the government of Guam at this time, states that fiscal note. Bill 30 was moved to the voting file, and it is expected to be acted on at 4:30 this afternoon when lawmakers are scheduled to vote. We'll have more news after this.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
At Guam Regional Medical City, it is our mission to become the island's premier choice for specialty care, like cardiology, pulmonology, neurosciences, orthopedics, oncology services, and more. We aim to protect our island from heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and diabetic complications. But should you suffer from such diseases, we're ready with world-class options, both inpatient and outpatient. For more information, visit us at grmc.gu.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Delegate Michael San Nicolas says the opening of his Guam district office has been pushed back to March 18th because the office had some water damage from Super Typhoon Wu-Tip over the weekend. The Guam office was supposed to open this Thursday, March 1st, and due to water damage to flooring and walls as a result of Typhoon Wu-Tip, the congressional office will unfortunately need to delay opening until March 18th, states a note from San Nicolas that he sent to the media via text yesterday. The office is located along Marine Corps Drive in Agana, a few buildings from the old office of former Delegate Madeline Bordallo. Although the new office for Delegate San Nicolas is not going to be ready to open on March 1st, constituents are advised to contact Delegate San Nicolas's 24-hour hotline if they have any questions or problems, and that number is 1-844-482-6671. Contractor DZSP21 has been awarded a $106 million one-year contract for support services at Guam's military bases. The contract award was issued by Naval Facilities Engineering Command Pacific. It's a sole source procurement after the company was deemed to be the only responsible source to satisfy the agency's requirements. The work includes management and administration services, material and facilities management, as well as water, wastewater, electrical restoration, and modernization work. All the work under the contract is supposed to be completed by February of next year. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with weather.
And the weather looks like this. Partly cloudy skies and isolated light showers. Very isolated light showers today. Southeast winds up to about 15 miles an hour, becoming light overnight. Highs 87 and overnight lows should be about 76 degrees for the sunset tonight, 6:29. Sunrise tomorrow morning about 6:38. And a quick look at the radar here. Michael Knight will tell you what the weather conditions are going to be like in the next hour or two. And as I said, not much by way of shower activity, huh?
Yeah, not much out there at all. We do got the south and southeast winds coming in. Not much in terms of rainfall with it, though. So if you get a shower, well, you're just kind of one of those few people that get it. So it should be a nice drive into work this morning, safe and dry. Looking at satellite real quick, we've got the storm out there fizzling out now finally. Typhoon Wu-Tip, at last check, still classified as a typhoon, should be downgraded to tropical storm anytime now. As you can see on the satellite, they're really falling apart now to our northwest. Some dry air moving in over us. You can see by the light pinks over us on the satellite photo. The easterly trades coming in as well. You can see that in those little bunch of clouds off to the east as they slowly make their way this way. We'll see the winds shift on back over to the east over the next couple of days, and then from then on to the foreseeable future, we'll have pretty dry weather ahead.
I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also looking forward to the wind creeping back down just a little bit, under about 20 miles an hour.
That will be happening, yes.
Helps with the training. 7:13 in the morning, and that's News and Weather Together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Make the good things last longer. Get 3 more days for free on our 3-day prepaid rate plan. That's 6 days of unlimited local calls, SMS, and 1 gig of 4G LTE data per day for just $7.95. Text HS3 to 3282 from your Docomo Pacific prepaid phone to sign up today. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
I got you. 7:15 in the morning. What's for breakfast today? Well, it depends on where you're eating. May I suggest King's? Because it's King's. You know you're going to like the food there when you line up for breakfast. But they've got a bunch of great items. Maybe you got kids that aren't in school today, right? Because they get that water thing down in Santa Rita. Take them up to the King's in the morning and treat them to the Fruity Pebbles pancakes, right? And if you're a little kid, I want you to start just screaming. Scream at the top of your lungs. Uncle Ray says, I have to try the Fruity Pebbles pancakes. I want it, and I want it now, Mommy. I want it now. Fruity Pebbles cereal flakes infused in fluffy pancakes and served with the powdered sugar and the syrup on top of that. Is that getting you right in the sweet tooth? Well, it should. And take that sweet tooth and a screaming kid to King's.
On March 9th, join Bank of Guam for the EFIT Run and Block Party to benefit Guam Cancer Care and American Cancer Society. Our Sunset 2K and 5K run will start at Chamorro Village with showtime at 4 and go time at 5. And don't forget about our block party starting at 4 o'clock, complete with food trucks, a kids zone, live entertainment, and a beer garden, so don't forget your ID. This is a bring your own water bottle event. The EFIT Run and Block Party, Saturday, March 9th. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
7:15 in the morning, there is going to be a beer garden. I'm going to put this public service announcement out there for everybody that's going to be going to the EFIT Run. Please bring money. Folding money, and please bring your ID. They will check your ID at the door. They don't care if you've got a salt and pepper beard like mine. If you don't have an ID, you're not going to get in on the other side unless Lulian Guerrero is there saying, no, I know him. He's an old fart. Let him in. Portions of the program brought to you by APL. That's American President Lines, where they're shipping the future. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. And, of course, Guam Regional Micronesia Renewable Energy. They're all about solar, and they say that there has never been a better time to go solar.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I got stuffs on my WhatsApp here this morning, and this I can share with you. There is going to be a boot drive. The fire department of Guam is going to be conducting a boot drive to benefit Erica's house. It's going to take place today. From 5 until 6 at the Harmon intersection, the Tri-intersection, and the ITC intersection. So be on the lookout for men and women from the Guam Fire Department, and they're going to be out there holding their boots, and the object is to actually fill this. Normally, I have a problem with panhandlers, but when they're taking care of Erica's house, and since it's the fire department, well, who am I going to say that we shouldn't ought to be doing something like that? Now, so there's the picture of the boot drive plugged there. So again, at the Harmon intersection, that's one over by the McMobile and the Tri-intersection and the ITC building intersection. Now, for those of you that have already contributed to the fire department and Erica's house, thank you very much. And I'm going to repeat those intersections so that you can avoid them between 5 and 6 o'clock this afternoon. The Harmon intersection, the Tri-intersection, 8, 10, and 16, and the ITC intersection. If you've already contributed and helped out the fire department and Erica's house, you're going to want to avoid those intersections because the traffic will be slowing down significantly as a result of those guys being up. It'll be just like during the election when people would get up there on both sides of the street, and we got to figure it out now. We got to take a look at it and see, which side was Lulian Guerrero on. Which side was she on? I want to say that she was on the fire department side when they were doing it at the IT. Because I want to be able to, I want to be able to determine the winners and losers side. Can we do that?
She was on the right.
She was on the right. Use the microphone. We can hear you better if you use the microphone. Just
hold
saying.
it up. Hold it up, man. Okay, hold it up.
It's there.
Okay.
So she was on the right side?
She's on the right-hand side.
Now, when you say right, are you talking about northbound or southbound?
I am talking when you're going north.
North, and then she's on the right side. Okay, so the
people should always go north because north is positive.
And so
south is also positive.
Depending on so what I'm trying to get to is the next. So when I run for office, I want to be on the side that Lulian Guerrero is waving on because that's the winning side, if you ask me. Now, Michael, you sent something in on the Facebook, right? On the WhatsApp. What was that?
It's a continued water outage for Santa Rita.
They haven't fixed that main line. Well,
No.
they got all. I mean, they've already shut down a school, so they've got all day to worry about that.
They had originally said it would be done by 5 this morning, but now they've extended it until noon. Pali Ferdinand, way, Bishop Olano Street, North Perino Street, and surrounding areas.
Poor people in Santa Rita. They've been fighting this battle for 50 years, as far as I know.
Talk to Big Barry Mead, and he'll tell you about his vale of tears with water, et cetera, down in
I had an
in that part of the
opportunity to
world.
move up there for a pretty affordable price, but with the water problems, I was like, no, I don't even want to do that.
The quick and dirty on that is there's pluses and minuses everywhere you live, right? My village, for instance, where we have flying brown tree snakes. Right, so that would be considered. Some people would consider that a minus, but it is central, which means that I'm minutes away from most of my favorite partying locations in
We
the
just need to
central
find that
Uganda
recipe
area.
for the brown trees.
Exactly.
You see, that a flying tree snake, there would be food being delivered.
Exactly.
Just got to catch them while they're in the air. Story and the financial. I got to head into the financial part of the program here. Guam-based wealth advisors on the Forbes best list, including what do we got here? Dan Rowland he's with Raymond James. And they've got some of my dough. And Jason Miyashita were named as Forbes' best in-state wealth advisors, according to their announcement. Everybody excited to see Dan and Jason included in this extremely prestigious group here. And so we offer our congratulations to them. And if you'd like to help me with wealth management, I'd like to begin by you actually giving me money. Here's the seed. Here's the seed stock, Ray, and from this we'll be able to make it bloom into millions and millions, so that you'll be able to retire at the age of 50. Of course, I'm 56 now, so I think I'm a little bit late into the process. That's like guys like you and I just work till we die. Now, we were talking about entrepreneurial opportunities in Sweden, where they give you 6 months and go try it out. If you make it, great. If you don't make it, your job is going to be here waiting for you.
That's right.
All right. And you might have been thinking, you might have been putting together the WhatsApp. Now, my tongue-in-cheek yesterday was a kind of a host bar for women of a certain age to go and be paid attention to by young men of a certain age. Yes, with skinny pants and buns in their hair and all of that. But I was talking to Riffin at the end of the hour about why it is. I think they might have one on base, but why it is that there are no glass crushing devices. Now, you've got a drinking problem, don't you, where you got a lot of wine bottles left over?
Yeah, no doubt.
Right, and beer bottles and just all kinds of glass things that you want to get rid of. And you throw them away, and they're going to be in the landfill for millions of years, taking up more space than is necessary. Well, glass is made of what? What do you use to make glass?
Sand.
Sand, exactly. So there are machines out there, and I found one. It's the GS1000. And I'm going to put the video up on the Facebook Live so that viewers might be able to see what it is I'm talking about. And it is a gizmo. It is a mechanism that you take your beer bottles, your wine bottles, your what is it? Vinegar still comes in bottles in some places, and mayonnaise. And you take all of these things and you feed them into a machine. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the GS100. And this thing, you ought to be able to, as fast as you can put bottles in it, it will take them and crush them. And at the end of this, and I think in this video you'll be able to see it. At the end of this, you will be able to get sand. Actual sand. It crushes the glass and pulverizes it into sand that looks like exactly the kind of sand that you get at Epal Beach.
There you go.
Because that's what it's made of. There it is. You can see at the bottom of the thing, and there's you should be able to. He reaches in bare hands and picks it up. These things can be finely pulverized to different sizes. I mean, right down to micron levels.
So you could actually make the kind of sand that is in
that
those
could be used
travel
for
magazines
constructions
or that.
Construction. You might be able to
white sand beaches and stuff like that.
Some kind of filtering devices. I don't know. The friction course on roads.
Now they got this up at Anderson. You said
they've got a glass crusher up. They had a glass crusher up inside, but at base. I don't know exactly where it is or if it's still in operation. But the other thing is a golf course. There's somebody putting it in the golf course. Right?
Sand traps.
We have golf courses here on Guam. So there's an opportunity here. And the other piece of this opportunity is I believe that you ought to be able to get something like that GS100 for something on the order of about $1,800. Now, if you've got what's that?
Oh,
got your attention now, right?
Attention, yeah.
Is that something that we might be able to get the guys over at Guam Music to put a mechanism on it? So you stick in $1 and you can use this machine for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, crush all your glass and take the sand or leave the sand if you want to.
Sure.
But if you're getting rid of the sand is the point. And you put one over at Home Depot, you stick one over at Benson's, you put it up at Guam Hardwood.
Yeah.
And pretty soon you might be able to make a couple of dollars with this thing. So
that's a good idea.
Start looking around now, and you might be going, well, I don't have $1,800 or $2,000 or whatever it's going to cost to ship.
Gita does.
Gita does. Gita, there are private activity bonds now. There's $9.3 million that are available in the solid waste disposal facilities, and you should be able to tap into some of those kinds of funds. You use that as the basis to be able to get other investors into the mix to the tune of about $9 million. But I don't know that we'd be able to say that this device, this GS100 or whatever, would fall into this solid waste disposal facilities, but maybe we'll go and say it's going to be glass crushing, it's going to be taking care of tires, it's going to be melting down and turning into plastic, like wood planks for plastic bottles.
Pellets, who knows?
Yeah.
They can make anything with it.
So there it is. I'm just saying there's an invisible hand that will solve some of these problems, because if we wait for the government to do it, it will take forever.
The whole idea about micro businesses, micromanaging or micromanagement type thing, micro loans, etc. It's a whole thing. I don't know that it exists here, but in other countries it does. And people start these very, very small businesses that are really even under the radar of the SBA.
Hey, listen,
in that whole process.
Yeah, we've heard stories about this. I knew a lady that was able to take advantage of it. She was a cleaning lady, but she also had seamstress skills, but didn't have any of the equipment. So she found somebody here locally that gave her the money so that she could go to the Singer place and buy a sewing machine and sharp scissors, and was able to stop being a cleaning lady and go to work as a seamstress. There's another name for it.
Seamstress.
All the time. So that was, it changed her life. And there are life-changing stories like that all the time. Elwin Chimpaco says glass blasting is far safer than using natural sand, which is dangerous for one's lungs. Elwin is right. You can use the glass, the sand that comes out of this. That's one of the primary uses, is for sandblasting.
The other word you're looking for is Taylor.
Taylor. I know a guy named Taylor. Sorry, I digress. Let's look at the markets real quick, and then we'll get to Jerry Roberts and the extra point, since we're already late for all of that. Markets down this morning. That's funny. They were up the last time I looked. S&P off by a couple of points, 27.93. The NASDAQ at 75.49. They're off by 5 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average still over 26,000, but they took a 34-point drop today to close at 26,057. Where are we now? FTSE is in the red. Nikkei is in the red. I got Hang Seng also down. The DAX is going to open up by about 35 points. Oil trading at $55 and about 66 cents. That is up by 2 bits. Tapas at $70.31. That's off by about 2 bits. So that's what we're doing here with the numbers on the markets. If you want to buy some gold, up by almost $1.50, $1,330 and change or so for an ounce of gold, if that's what you're buying.
Not today, but I'm happy to have the information.
All right, very good. Keep that in your head. It's good to think about as we talk about hedging, inflation, and all of that stuff.
What's the most important job you ever had?
The most important is being Mayumi Gibson's father. That's
okay. Real job.
Oh, you didn't want the platitude?
Where they get a paycheck, where the money comes to your way, not go out the other way when you're a parent.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Real job.
Yeah.
So think about that for about 24 hours. That's tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's get to today's extra point. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance and First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes. Here is Jerry Roberts.
Everybody wants to say yes to happiness, but too many of us forget to say no to the things that often prevent it. Coming up, stuff we need to turn our backs on. Next, on the Extra Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Buckle up, the No Machine is in gear with suggestions that could make a difference. Say no to mediocrity. You're better than that. Stop settling. Say no to comparing yourself to others. You don't really know what someone else's life is really about. Stop it. Say no to procrastination. It destroys your momentum. Take a breath and use the power of one. Do one more thing, then another. Say no to negative people. They can't have any power over you unless you give it to them. Say no to perfection. Nothing will will slow you down more than trying to perfect something. Instead, use that time and energy to jumpstart a new chapter in your progress. Say no to excuses. Half the people aren't listening, half don't believe you, and the last half don't care. Fix what you need to fix and move on. Say no to TV. Play with your kids, read a book, learn a new skill. Imagine what you can do with hundreds and hundreds of extra hours every year. Say no to doing life stuff at work and doing work stuff at home. I know this is incredibly hard for some folks. Do your best to give each full attention that it deserves. Your employer deserves 100%. Your family deserves 100%. Say no to doing the wrong things. Management guru Peter Drucker once said, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. Say no to abusing your body, unless, of course, you've found a new place to live once you've ruined the one you're in now. Say no to distractions. You can't do big things if you're constantly distracted by little things. Say no to your cell phone when you're trying to be productive. The majority of people who truly get things done a lot better than most of us set their phones to airplane mode during their productive times. They intentionally stay on course and finish the tasks they set out to do. Say no to people who put you in Maybe-ville. Maybe you'll hire me. Maybe you'll be a part of my project. Do you think maybe may be another way of saying I'm keeping my options open just in case something or someone better comes along? I'm here now. My opportunity is here now. Come on, make a commitment. Say no to people who only take and never give. I don't know who said it, but it's one of my new favorite sayings. Know the difference between those who stay to feed the soil and those who come to grab the fruit. Ooh, that is so good. No is a beautiful word. It can be a fun word. You don't have to get crazy with it. But when you use it thoughtfully, it can change your life. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Wait, we got to go back over that line about watch out for the people that aren't there to plant the seed, or what is it?
Know the difference between those who stay to feed the soil and those who come to grab the fruit.
Ponder that. Never mind what the most important job I ever have. That's the thing I want to ponder for the rest of the days.
I saw that. I said, whoa.
Get a sheet of paper and then make a line down the middle of it, and then put all of the people in your life, and which side are they going to be on? Are they going to help you with the soil, or are they going to be there for the fruits? And just be aware of them. It doesn't say you have to kill them, right?
You don't have.
You don't have to go after them or anything like that.
Yeah, this will be it'll be uploaded in the next 20 minutes.
Oh, so that was the other question. I forgot to ask you the question yesterday. Your website is back up.
Website's back up.
Awesome.
It's on a new server, on a new host deal. Everything is fine. There's a malware protection scheme that's on top of it now. And some folks in London who say that if it ever happens again, they will go and
seppuku.
They will fix it.
Are you kidding?
They'll fix it, and then they'll track down.
That's the level of customer service that I want. Is if you're not completely satisfied with my solution to your problem, I will kill myself. I will take out a Japanese blade and plunge it into my center. Ooh. It's 7:32 in the morning, and that's all the time we got for Jerry Roberts and the Extra Point. What was your most important job? Ponder that over the next 24 hours, and we'll talk about it on tomorrow's Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. Right now, time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here is Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Guam's Republican Party leaders held a news conference yesterday to underscore their opposition to any tax increases and their commitment to roll back the tax hikes approved last year during the last legislature. GOP Party Chairman Jerry Crisostomo saying, we need to rein in spending first and cut expenses and look at growing our economy before raising taxes. As a party, we strongly oppose raising taxes, said Crisostomo, and we also support the rollback of taxes. Assistant Minority Whip Senator James Moylan highlighting two of the bills that he has already introduced to roll back the liquid fuel tax increase and the business privilege tax increase, both of which the senator said were regressive taxes that greatly affect the people of Guam. The news conference was called following Democratic Senator Joe San Augustine's bid on Monday to get Bill number 4 on the agenda during this week's session. The measure would correct language in the current budget law to allow a property tax increase to take full effect. The legislature's minority leader, Senator Will Castro, spoke about his opposition to the or more bill yesterday, saying the attempt to get it on the agenda was a violation of the standing rules. He pointed out that the committee report had not yet been submitted, and he warned that lawmakers would be taking action on a measure that would impose a tax increase. The committee report on Bill 4 has now been submitted, and Senator San Augustine succeeded in getting it placed on the session agenda yesterday. It'll be debated today and may be voted on as well today when lawmakers have scheduled voting for 4:30 this afternoon. The Guam Department of Education this morning announcing that classes have been canceled at Harry S. Truman Elementary School in Santa Rita because of a water main break. Aspire and other activities at Truman Elementary have also been canceled. Classes should resume tomorrow, according to a statement from Guam DOE. In addition, Southern High School students and staff will have to use the back gate to get into the school campus this morning because of that water main break. Traffic is being diverted while a GWA crew works to repair the broken water main. GWA issuing a release this morning saying that the water main break is affecting Pali Ferdinand Way, Bishop Olano Street, North Perino Street, and surrounding areas in Santa Rita. The agency expects the repairs to be completed by noon today. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I think I will. It's 7:35, and that's iConnect time. Swing by the nearest iConnect to learn about the great plans in 2019. Push to talk mobile, even internet. Yes, with iConnect.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
You know, I work until 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's very rare that I have the opportunity to have that incredible breakfast over at KFC, but I had the incredible lunch there the other day because they got a drive-thru near my house, and I got up to the thing, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted, so I got everything. I guess just one of each. I want the zinger, I want the spicy zinger sandwich, I want the chicken in the wrap, and and it's got to be chicken pot pie today, and I ate all three of them.
And the best thing about it is we'll deliver it.
I don't know if they'll deliver to my house from the drive-thru, but from around here, yeah, if you're in the Tamuning area, you ought to be able to get some of that stuff. And then let me just get a quick look at the traffic gizmo. As you might imagine, it's probably going to be fairly busy out there at all of the major intersections. As usual, traffic getting out of the Dededo and lower parts of Jigo could confound you. Getting into and out of Anderson Air Force Base might be a little bit slower this morning. Around the schools, Ukadu, Estumbo, etc., that area is starting to crowd up, and we'll move towards the intersection of 1 and 3. 8, 10, and 16 already looking ugly from about where the post office is through the Happy Mart intersection right up until that one good intersection that gets you into Teedson today, and you should be clear through there until you get to about where the McMobile is on Route 8, and then it'll clear up for a little bit, and then you should be in again. If anything worse than that, then let me know about it. Use the WhatsApp 988-5874. Don't see anything in front of Big Navy. Don't see anything in front of Naval Hospital right now. Let me just zoom in on this to make sure. All right, there might be a couple of things up in Agania Heights that will slow you down in a couple of different directions. I don't think it's an accident or anything like that. And a quick note: somebody was asking me about something. We were talking about passion projects yesterday, and there's apparently a 3-day no alcohol challenge. I don't know if you've heard about it, and so I'm going to put the picture up here on Facebook Live so you can see it. A 3-day no alcohol challenge. It begins on February 29th, 30th, and 31st. Fine, 7:38. I'll be right back.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-3 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Holly Ferdinand Way, Bishop Alano Street, and North Perino Street, surrounding areas without water this morning in the Santa Rita area that was supposed to get fixed earlier this morning. It looks like we got a big problem down in that part of town. So if you're from there, you really need to make sure to stop by the gas station and get a thing of baby wipes. I mean, if you absolutely have to, that is the shelter in the stinky fafa storm, is just go and to get yourself some baby wipe and share it with everybody in the family, and that ought to take care of you, at least until they get the water situation sorted out down there. In 20 minutes, it's going to be 8 o'clock in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK, and kind of fascinated with all the conversation about what you can do with the glass once you crush it. But maybe there ought to be some kind of way that you can build into it. It doesn't have to be fancy. The same way that you get these little stands that pop up and sell water. There ought to be a way that you could go and bring, I don't know, 50 pounds of glass in and take the sand out or leave the sand there without spending a whole lot of money. There ought to be some investor opportunities in here as well. And you can these things, from what I'm seeing. So I'm really excited about this. But from what I'm seeing, it's scalable. You can get these glass crushing devices that will make sand that will go in your kitchen. Like a waste disposal in your sink. You have one of these things off to the side, and you put the glass in it, and pretty soon you've got sand that you might be able to use. And you can scale it up so that these things will take hundreds of pounds an hour of glass. And what do you do with that? You got guys that are in the sandblasting business. That stuff, according to at least one viewer on Facebook, says is safer than using natural sand for the mechanics in your shop. And you can change out the grade. You can change out the size of the sand that comes out to suit whatever the purpose is you've got are. So I think that's very, very cool and worth looking into. Google glass crushers and see what happens. Now, the guys over at the legislature yesterday I have no idea how Joe S. managed to do it, but what was something that they could not muster enough votes for day before over at the legislature, there was apparently no objection to adding the or more legislation to the, or not enough objections, I guess, to adding the or more legislation to this session's agenda. Senator Jimmy Moylan's on the line. Good morning, Senator.
Hey, good morning, Ray.
Now, my understanding is that immediately Will Castro blew a gasket a couple of days ago and said, dudes, we're not even 90 days into this new session of the legislature, and we're already trying to figure out ways that we can continue to tax the public?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you back him up and say, yeah, what he said? Certainly, Will, you say it, buddy.
Yeah, but I also did bring back where I stood, and that's reference to our my two early bills. On day one, I introduced Bill 9 and Bill 10, all tax rollback bills. Likewise, with what Senator Castro talked about, let's stay away from taxes, right? We're promising the people that we want to help them. We want to get away from regressive taxes, and that's what we want to do as a team, as a Republican Party. Let's not look at those taxes. Let's look at what we can to cut costs and collect bad taxes as well. So we're focused on that.
Yeah, I mean, you got. Let's wait out and see how successful Daphne is going to be over at the Department of Revenue and Taxation, working with Levin Camacho, before we go back and take more from the people. And now I want to point out, and I don't generally go after the editorial writers, but in this case, the editorial team over at the Pacific Daily News fails us as they talk about the tax. What's the shortfall strategy? Asking you and others to come up with some kind of some kind of an alternative. That's not how you get into a debate here, guys. You don't say, well, if you don't like our idea, give me alternatives. No, you still got to work within the context of what you've got coming in terms of revenue and what we spend in terms of expenses. That needs to be answered before we start asking for alternatives. But they make a point here in the editorial, says that's why a tax increase in the government of Guam's fiscal 2019 budget law made sense. It raised the property tax on buildings valued at $1 million or more, which means the increase wouldn't be placed on the backs of those who can least afford it for once. And I'll remind the people that work over at the PDN, you're getting it wrong, guys. These businesses, these buildings that are valued at $1 million or more are commercial businesses. They are apartment buildings. They are condominium. They're all of these. What is going to happen here, guys, is the landlords are simply going to charge their tenants more to make up for this increase in taxes. And it's going to be businesses, and it will be government of Guam departments and agencies, and it will be people that are going to have to pay these taxes. The rich businesses don't pay taxes. Get it through your head. They just collect it. And so I need to point this out. This is not one of those Okasha, go after the rich people. It ain't going to hit the rich.
Exactly, Ray. My office is at DNA Building. I'm already locked into a contract with DNA Building, right? But what's going to happen? That definitely is a million plus. So what is the landlord going to do? Of course, he's going to raise the rent. I'm a government office. There are other government offices in there as well. Will I be able to afford it on my budget? Maybe not. Maybe I have to find another location.
That's right, because you're a Republican and you're in the minority, and they don't give you jack to start with.
I'm one of those kids, and that guy over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But likewise, I stay in a condominium too. We have tenants here, and that rent's going to go up for other folks that are just trying to make things work out. So it's just going to get passed on. It's just like the business privilege tax. We consider that a tax on businesses, but really it's basically the people's tax that gets passed right back on.
That's right. They're just I'm taking it from the customers. Look, the government just hit me with another cost here, and I'm not going to pay it. So the people that I do business with that come into my shop are going to have to pay the additional on that. And it has a cascading effect on everything else that we do around here. So it doesn't matter to me whether the alternative is to spend less in the government of Guam. That's all there is to it. Or to spend less. That's what we've got to take care of here. My buddy Brad says rushing bills through the voting file for me is not a problem. That way they can get voted on and voted no, and then we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Correct. Right. We brought that up. It got voted no. It's done. Okay, what do we look at next? And you mentioned also Daphne and Levin. I think we got some good teams in there, and they got new ideas, and they're ready to work. So let's give them that opportunity to make things right with the executive direction as well, and without raising our taxes. So that's where we're coming from as the Republican Party.
Well, do you have any data? Did we get anything from Lester Carlson? Do we have anything from the OFB at the legislature that gives you an idea of how much money is coming into the? We're several months into FY 2019. Are we in line with the projections? Do we need to make some adjustments on the budget?
Well, Senator Castro did point out we're above where we thought we would be. The projected collections are better than what expected. We had a senatorial briefing on the budget, and it's going well. And if we add in what we're looking at from Department of Revenue and Tax and what their aggressive tax collections, it looks like it's going to go well. And with Levin helping out and taking some folks to court on what they owe, again, those are all positive things. So it looks like it's going well, and we're above what we expected to. So at this point, we're wondering, do we really need to start looking at raising those taxes?
That's the picture that's in my head now. Is do we really need to do this? What is the rush? I mean, will there be other funds available that can be ported to the Territorial Education Fund so that they're not $10 million short?
Correct. And that's why we're wanting to stop it, and that's the press release and so forth. So
have you considered a hunger strike? No, this is how you slow Joe down, because Joe's, in my mind, this is Joe's claim to fame is he's always the guy that calls for a lunch recess. So just then when he says, I want a break for lunch, just say no. He says, no, I need a cigarette. No cigarette breaks and no lunch breaks.
Okay. How about we do just a little diet plan, and we do something healthy for the healthy economy?
Yeah, here's your carrots. We've got to bring in some celery. We'll bring in the guy that does the water at the legislature. He's going to bring in celery and carrots, and that's all you're going to get. We're not doing smoke breaks, and we're not going to be doing any lunch breaks until we get the numbers that we need. And if you don't mind me asking, and I'm sorry that I include all of you guys in the 15 blind mice thing, because I'm worried. I swear to God, Jimmy, I'm worried that you guys at the legislature are going to go into this 30-35 thing with not one but two documents from BBMR that say we don't know. Three now. There's three documents from BBMR, right?
There was the original fiscal note in February, then a revised one was issued, and then a third one was issued yesterday.
And all three of them say the same thing. We don't know. We don't know what the impact is going to be. So it occurs to me that it would be unbelievably blind to be able to walk off that cliff on 30-35, not knowing what the impact is going to be on the spend of the government of Guam. And when I say spend of the government of Guam, I mean taxpayer money.
Correct. That's right. This bill does, it's specifically for government of Guam employees, retirees, and their dependents. It's depending on what numbers you use, 70 million annually, 90 million annually, if it's going to be exclusive or non-exclusive, will there be a discount brought down?
Right.
This bill with that budget doesn't affect it affects the entire island because it's tax money. But if you're looking at the employees at these different hotels, the housekeepers and stuff, it affects their pocketbook because it's a tax, but it doesn't help them necessarily because it doesn't tell them they can go to the hospital or this. It's not affecting them. It's specifically for the government of Guam.
Well, it'll take their tax dollars and use them in other places other than increase services and value for them as taxpayers on Guam. It's just going to go and support health insurance for the 12 or 13,000 people or plus the retirees in the government of Guam. I'm not saying that they don't deserve health insurance, but if you want health insurance, then you pay for it.
Right. So when that decision and the vote does come down, it makes the floor, it's into the next third reading and so forth. Those are the calls that our 15 need to make. It affects the entire island, and if we're strapped for cash, what they're talking about is.
So you will vote no.
So that's the we're doing a nose count here. So don't be 15 blind mice. Make it 14. It's 14 blind mice and Jimmy.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's what we're working for here this morning. Hey, listen, I got to let you go. I got a bigger name online too.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good luck, Senator. My understanding is that the fun begins. The fireworks ought to start shaking out about 9 o'clock this morning, and then a vote at 4:30, right? Or that's the anticipated time.
That's the anticipation. Yes.
All right.
Stay tuned.
All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. All right. Happy hour when it's done.
There you go. Looking forward to it.
It's a quarter. What is it? 10 away from the top of the hour. Joey Duenas from the Consolidated Commission on Utilities on the line. Good morning, Joey.
Good morning, Ray, and good morning, people.
I wanted to spend some time with you yesterday, but I got busy with BJ Cruz talking about some of the problems with collections and billing over at Guam Memorial Hospital. Sure. But I did want to talk about a couple of things that are going on over at the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, and one of them is now tell me what decision was made, I guess last night, on what we're going to be doing about back billing with GWA. I know a lot of people are sensitive about that.
Yeah, well, Ray, what we're doing is GWA's management and employees have been working on trying to figure out a better process, how to improve the process of back billing. So what we're doing is, we're setting up a process in how we reach out to our customer and better inform him, and different things that we're doing. That it's kind of like a long process, but that's in essence what we're trying to do.
Did you come up with something?
Oh, yeah, we adopted something, and it starts, by saying when we first notice, when the utility first notices some abnormality in what's going on with the consumption or the meter, we kind of look at it and say, okay, look, what's going on? And the people go out, check the meter, pull the meter out, put another meter in, take the meter they pulled out, go to the test bench. And even before then, they actually sent the process, and now they're going to send out a notice first and says, hey, we noticed something, and we're going to work on checking your meter, and we're going to pull it out and take it to a test bench. And then they'll say, we pulled out your meter, we took it to the test bench. There'll be another notice later on that says this is what we found, and then that will generate the back billing that will occur.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a process of trying to better notice our customers and better keep our customers informed. Really.
At the root of this, I guess, is the number of malfunctioning devices, and so about of the numbers that you have, by what percentage are they malfunction? What is the responsibility of the vendor?
Ray, we've been working with the vendor, and I don't know if you remember, but we've always said across the country. The most municipal utilities have come across and said, Joey or Simon, this is our experience is we're in the 12th year of our 5-year meter replacement program. This is one of the hardest parts to do, and so what we're doing is we have continually looked for better and better meters, and it's gotten really better. I mean, there was a time back, about maybe 7 years ago, where we changed out meters and we had an increase in rates, and the next year we had even lower revenue than the year before.
Huh?
And we said, "Wait, what happened to the rate increase?"
Yeah.
So this is a problem that not just Guam faces. And what we've done is we've changed out meters. We went to a vendor supplier named Badger Meter, and which is one of the best meters supposedly in the country. And the meter that they originally sent us, we found out we had a high failure rate in. So we worked with them, and we pointed out there's a warranty period. And they started replacing in the warranty period, and then there was this back and forth, and we're still going back and forth. But we're changing the meters out, and we found a meter that works better than the original meter they provided. And so they have provided some of those meters at no cost, some of them at reduced cost. So it's a thing where you keep working on the warranty because, the warranty doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
So you try to catch these things, and sometimes you catch the meter before the warranty expires. That's when it acts up. Sometimes it goes past the warranty period. But we're still continuing to work with the vendor.
What's the nature of the problem with these things? Is it hardware? Is it software? Is it the high amount of rock maybe that might be getting through and gumming up the works?
It's a combination of things, but at the end of the day, it really revolves around the design of the meter and finding a meter that works well with our water quality. You're right, and works well also with our environment. We have a very harsh environment out here in Guam. I mean, I had somebody once who came to Guam and said to me, actually, this is a great place to test your products out because if it survives here, you'll survive anywhere. I mean, you look outside, right? Aluminum starts to turn here in Guam. And people look at it and go, what the heck's going on? But we have a very, very severe environment. And so, it's a combination of things. It's not one thing. But we've kind of found one meter. And then, there's new technology. So we've ordered some test meters, some meters to test, about 1,000 meters. We have about 40-some thousand meters in the ground rate. But there's these new meters. They're e-readers. In other words, there's no moving parts in them. And I'm not an engineer, so I'm trying to explain to you as best I heard. There's no moving parts, and it measures the flow of water to some electronic something. So, it's all about trying to, as accurately as possible, measure the consumption of our consumers so that everybody pays their fair share.
All right.
That's the goal.
Now, question on from the consumer side. If I look at my water bill and I go, that doesn't sound right for a family my size or a household like this, how do I get kind of an audit going?
Well, you call up customer service, and they'll start to look at your meter, and they'll start to see whether there's a problem, and there may be a problem. That's a good point to bring up, Ray, because sometimes when we see a drop in consumption, a big drop in consumption, say for a period of time, the people look and say, "Wow, what's going on?" And it could be that the family's off on vacation, so water consumption goes down. It could also be that it's a house that is being rented and tenants have moved out and water consumption dropped. And so there are a lot of different reasons, but if the customer himself has a concern, of course they should contact customer service and ask about, hey, can you, because what we have now, Ray, is a meter test bench. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but GWA now has a meter test bench where we can actually test the meter, pull out the meter, test it, make sure that it's working accurately.
Yeah.
And we have had customers who have asked us to do that, and we've done it, and we've gone as far as inviting them up to the test bench facility so actually watch it. And at the same time, we've also brought in the meter supplier. When we noticed the high failure rate, they came in and they actually observed the test bench, and they said, yeah, you're doing what they call the AWWA standard.
Joey, are there areas on Guam where there are more a higher failure rate than other parts?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Interesting.
I think Miguel Bordallo would probably have a better handle on that.
I might bug him. I got Mark on the line, and he's got a question for you. Joey, real quick for Mark, or Mark, real quick for Joey.
Sure.
Yeah. So what happened was, someone moved out from my family home. My brother, he stopped going there, and so the consumption went down. You guys went out and automatically replaced the meter, and your contractor put a cut O-ring on, and it was leaking on the resident side.
Yikes!
And and so we called you guys, and they finally came out and took care of it and realized. But originally they said, no, you've got to pay for the water that you use, even though it was your contractor's fault. Now, 7 years ago, when you did this, you did the same thing to my dad. He ended up paying $1,200 to you for water that was your fault. So can he go back now and get a refund on that?
12 years ago?
No, 7 years ago when you originally did it.
I tell you what, I got 10 seconds left in the hour, and I'm not even sure we can get an answer in time. So, Mark, get a hold of Joey. Joey, get a hold of Mark, and he's too. And we all know which Mark it is. So, Joey, I might give you a call before 10 and finish up the rest of the conversation. I appreciate it. KUSG Agani, it's time for Fox News.
Against the president's latest move on a border wall, Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
If the Democratic-controlled House adopts a resolution expected with mostly Democratic votes, the measure to terminate President Trump's national emergency declaration would get considered in the Republican-led Senate. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says Republicans had a fulsome discussion about that resolution.
It's about the legality, the appropriateness, and all the rest.
And Vice President Mike Pence and a Justice Department attorney briefed Republican senators. At least 3 Republican senators say they will support that resolution. That's just one short needed to pass the measure if there's unanimous Democratic support. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Well, the president has already said he would veto the resolution, but lawsuits over the emergency declaration have already been filed. President Trump is half a world away in Vietnam, set to hold his second summit with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un.
The big question, is Kim any closer to making good on his pledge to dismantle his nuclear program? Pressure is building on President Trump from both sides of the congressional aisle to push him to do that.
Fox's John Roberts in Hanoi.
There is some concern within the administration that the whole idea of denuclearization has now become a negotiating point when it should be an absolutely non-negotiable item, and that the United States seems on a path to give concessions to Kim to move him down that road.
President Trump has said he's in no rush to lift sanctions. The president's former attorney, Michael Cohen, spending the first of 3 days before congressional committees before heading to prison for crimes including lying to Congress. He reportedly plans to accuse the president tomorrow of criminal activity since taking office. The White House calls it pathetic, a convicted liar is being given a chance to spread more lies. This is Fox News.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Serviso, kulay na kaibigan at handa para sa inyo. Ang bangko ng kinabukasan, laging maaasahan. And Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
The Republican candidate in a disputed congressional race in North Carolina says he will not run in the do-over that was recently ordered.
Mark Harris, the narrow leader in that contested race, cited health concerns for his decision to drop out. Allegations of ballot fraud and the legal investigation into them kept the race from being certified by the North Carolina Board of Elections. Last week, Harris said he couldn't testify during that official probe into the 9th District race, where it's alleged he used an operative who may have illegally collected mail-in ballots.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Harris had a blood infection that led to a hospital stay and 2 strokes. Now he has surgery scheduled for next month. He's endorsing Union County Commissioner Stoney Rushing to take his place on the ballot against Democrat Dan McCready. Some in Congress accusing drug companies of price gouging Americans.
It is long past time to drop the excuses and take concrete action to make medicine in America more affordable.
Oregon's Ron Wyden, ranking Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, among the lawmakers grilling executives from 7 pharmaceutical giants, arguing a greater balance is needed between the cost of innovation and the cost to consumers. A former first daughter is expanding her TV career.
Jenna Bush Hager, daughter of President George W. Bush, has been tapped to replace Kathy Lee Gifford, co-hosting the 10 o'clock hour of NBC's Today Show with Hoda Kotb in April when Gifford leaves. Bush Hager often filled in for Gifford, telling People magazine exclusively, "I'm so excited, I can't believe it. It feels organic and it feels right." Kotb telling the media outlet in describing Bush Hager, "She has this thing that's special."
Fox's Jacqueline Carl. AT&T's $81 billion takeover of Time Warner gets a green light from a federal appeals court rejecting a Trump administration challenge over consumer and competition concerns. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
At Guam Regional Medical City, it is our mission to become the island's premier choice for specialty care, like cardiology, pulmonology, neurosciences, orthopedics, oncology services, and more. We aim to protect our island from heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and diabetic complications. But should you suffer from such diseases, we're ready with world-class options, both inpatient and outpatient. For more information, visit us at grmc.gu.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger, loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between 2 buns. Chili's, more life happens here.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam lawmakers yesterday spent much of the day talking about the controversial measure that would require any insurer bidding for the lucrative GovGuam health insurance contract to provide coverage at Guam Regional Medical City for GovGuam employees, retirees, and their dependents. At the start of the day, Senator Therese Terlahi declared that it's imperative that we take time as necessary to be fully briefed about the fiscal impact before we act. Terlahi suggested sending the measure back to the committee, saying the costs are unknown and they may be too high. She made the motion to send it back to committee, but only Senator Sabina Perez raised her hand with Terlahi in support. That motion failed. During Monday's debate on the same bill, freshman Senator Amanda Shelton expressed concern about acting on the measure without knowing the cost to Guam taxpayers. She asked for a revised fiscal note in hopes of getting a better idea of what the cost would be. The Bureau of Management Research submitted another revised fiscal note just yesterday, but it reached the same conclusion. The Bureau is not able to determine the potential cost impact to GovGuam at this time, stated that fiscal note. Bill 30 was moved to the voting file yesterday, and it's expected to be voted on at 4:30 this afternoon. Guam's Republican Party leaders held a news conference yesterday to underscore their opposition to any tax increases and their commitment to roll back the tax hikes approved last year during the last legislature. GOP Party Chairman Jory Crisostomo saying, "We need to rein in spending first and cut expenses and look at growing our economy before raising taxes." Assistant Minority Whip Senator James Moylan highlighted two of the bills that he's already introduced to roll back the liquid fuel tax increase and another to roll back the business privilege tax, both of which the senator said were regressive taxes that greatly affect the people of Guam. The news conference yesterday, called by the GOP leadership, was called following Democratic Senator Joe San Augustine's bid on Monday to get Bill number 4 on the agenda during this week's session. That measure would correct language in the current budget law to allow a property tax increase to take full effect. The legislature's minority leader, Senator Will Castro, spoke about his opposition to that or more bill, saying the attempt to get it on the agenda was a violation of the standing rules. He pointed out that the committee report was not yet in and warned that lawmakers would be taking action on a measure that would impose a tax increase. The committee report on Bill 4 has subsequently been submitted to the legislature, and Senator San Augustine succeeded in getting it placed on the session agenda yesterday. It'll be debated today and may be voted on this afternoon as well. We'll have more news after this.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a Day. I'm Mark Benventi of Santa Rita, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voice of our community and sharing thoughts and issues that affect us all. It all boils down to our people, our land. Protei Igumamo. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
On March 9th, join Bank of Guam for the EFIT Run and Block Party to benefit Guam Cancer Care and American Cancer Society. Our Sunset 2K and 5K run will start at Chamorro Village with showtime at 4 and go time at 5. And don't forget about our block party starting at 4 o'clock, complete with food trucks, a kids zone, live entertainment, and a beer garden, so don't forget your ID. This is a bring your own water bottle event. The EFIT Run and Block Party, Saturday, March 9th. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Senator Sabina Perez has introduced a bill aimed at protecting Guam's reefs and the declining fish population by banning scuba fishing in Guam's waters. Bill 53 would make scuba fishing a felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $5,000. The measure cites a Department of Agriculture report which found that reef fish around the island are declining at an alarming rate and concluded that scuba fishing is a serious threat to all reef fish stocks. Manny Duenas, the president of the Guam Fishermen's Cooperative Association, said the co-op's general stance over the years has been against any legislation that adds more restrictions to local fishermen, and he urged the senators to turn their eyes instead to the larger problem of erosion, which he said is smothering reef fish. Delegate Michael San Nicolas said yesterday the opening of his Guam district office has been pushed back to March 18th because the office that was planned to be open on Thursday had some water damage from last weekend's Typhoon Wu-Tip. The Guam office was supposed to open on March 1st, but due to water damage to flooring and walls as a result of the Typhoon Wu-Tip, the congressional office will unfortunately need to delay opening until March 18th, according to a statement issued by Congressman San Nicolas yesterday. The office is located along Marine Corps Drive in Agana, a few buildings from the old office of former Delegate Madeline Bordallo. Although San Nicolas's new office is not yet ready to open, he's urging constituents who have questions or problems to contact the 24-hour hotline that the congressman has set up. That hotline number is 1-844-482-6671. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or Pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with weather.
Perfecting our look at weather. Partly cloudy skies, isolated light showers. There's southeast winds 10 to 15 miles an hour, becoming light overnight. Highs about 87 degrees, and overnight lows should be 76 degrees. There's sunset at 6:30 or so tonight. Sunrise tomorrow morning about 6:38. Well, if you want to get fancy, yes, at 6:38 tomorrow. Never mind about. And let's take a look now at the weather radar. And Mike, the weather whisperer, will tell you what he sees in the near forecast.
Yep, nothing out there on the radar right now. Just very isolated stuff. So if you get rain, you might want to play the lottery or something this morning, because you're about the only one that gets it. A really beautiful start to the Wednesday morning drive to work. Checking satellite, we can see why much of everything is cleared out.
Hold on. You say checking satellite like I'm supposed to press a button on my side.
Yeah, that's like sports with Blake. So we've got, see how that works? No, we got a fizzling out typhoon there, and it looks to me, as I look here on satellite, like the circulation is actually kind of separating. You've got the low-level circulation. It's still trying to kind of travel to the west, but you've got the wind shear carving off the cloud tops and shuffling all that stuff off to the northeast. Basically, the thing is being sheared apart, and we've got dry air in our vicinity. We can tell by the light pinks. Those of you watching on Facebook can see this on the satellite. The light pinks right over the Marianas, and then the clouds coming in from the east. That's the return of the easterly trades, and on top of that, once that settles in, we might get another surge in next week. I was thinking maybe it was too late. I kind of thought this storm might have messed up our winter, and it would have interrupted the last of the winter surges that might come through. But it looks like we might get another surge towards Wednesday or Thursday of next week. That will probably be our last winter surge. So we might want to get out there and enjoy it next week.
Now, what does that mean in terms of, say, grill marks or coolness, or keeping the house cool without running the air conditioning at 70?
Yeah, and again, the last, with the final surge coming in perhaps next week. And I mean, I can't say for sure it's the final one, because things have been kind of weird.
But I mean,
what's
in a surge?
Yeah, well, that's where you get your cooler, drier air that comes in. So when it moves on through, that's when the conditions dry out. You stop getting dew on the cars in the morning. Nice light breezes that come in at nighttime that are nice and cool, and they start to cool down right around sunset. So it's actually pretty nice. But eventually that ends for us, and it looks like this one coming in next week might be the last one.
No, it's too early yet. It's not even April. I didn't do. When is Ash Wednesday, by the way?
That's a religious question.
Today is Wednesday. That might be the boneheadedest thing I'm going to hear all day. When is Ash Wednesday? And then Blake says Thursday will be Ash Wednesday.
Tomorrow. Try March 6th.
Is it March 6th? Okay.
I just reaction completely.
Didn't realize that I had a holy roller in the studio. So March 6th.
Word association.
3-6. Okay, I put that in the calendar. We can riff on that a little bit later on. All right, 8:15 in the morning, and that's news and weather and blasphemy together right here on The Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Can you say crazy? Crazy? It's like that. It's crazy with a capital K, which means Madcap Zany. You're going to love the food. You're going to love the prices on breakfast over at King's Restaurant. You got kids that aren't in school today? All right, we'll take them over there. Satisfy the sweet tooth with the Nutella and banana French toast. The Hawaiian sweet bread, battered and fried as French toast and topped with Nutella hazelnut chocolate spread and fresh banana slices. This is making my fillings tingle just talking about it. Get your fillings tingled for real at King's.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
And then the other thing that I'm supposed to tell you about, the portions of the program that are brought to you by Security Title. Kim and Ron, ready to answer any questions that you've got about title guarantees and making sure that the property that you bought you actually own. because there are things that have blemishes. You know, properties have karma, just like people do. Also brought to you by Take Care. They're sponsoring the entire month of the anniversary program of Ray Gibson here on 93.3 The Point. American President Lines, they're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy, never been a better time to go solar. And Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I see my buddy Eddie Cruz there, Auntie Lily Camet, George Flores, and Renee Lau. Beck Salazar is watching on the Facebook Live, joining Yoichi Rengil and dozens of other people that have lined up, because this is the place that they get their news and information and the daily ration of smart aleck comments and political gossip. And today the smart aleck commentary has to do with it's 14 blind mice now. It's because Jimmy says he's probably going to vote no on the thing, right? That was our understanding. Okay, so Jimmy Moreland said he's going to probably be voting no on the 30-35 measure, which leaves only 14 other blind mice until I hear otherwise. Which ones are going to be voting it down, and not necessarily because it's bad. You know, it's good for GRMC. They guys have been on the full court press. I know that Take Care and Dr. Shea and others have got issues with it. But our issue here, my issue is, I have no idea what this is going to end up costing me in additional taxes. What are the numbers going to end up being? And I'd have a little bit more confidence if we didn't have already 1, 2, 3 fiscal notes that say all the same thing. They have the same question mark on top of all of that as well. And until they answer that question, I don't think anybody ought to vote on it. That is all I want to say about that at this time. And it is time for, speaking of time, it's time for Sports with Blake.
Sports with Blake.
What? Is there nothing to be excited about in the world of sports? This is a sports thing. No, when I was a boy, I used to go by a place called Mariana's Divers. It's where like shooters.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I read this story yesterday.
Did you? So I used to go by there, and this the Campbell brothers run the place when I was growing up, and that was where you went to get all the cool Jacques Cousteau equipment. I used to get stuff. I'd get my tanks taken care of there. And it was also one of a handful of places where you could go on Guam and buy spear guns.
That was one of the only places, huh?
Yeah.
The early places?
I remember being able to buy, I bought a pneumatic spear gun, a little shorty, from them by like 1985, 86. And as it turns out, I suck at shooting fish underwater. So, it's just one of those things. I had one, but I very rarely ever used it because, and you get the parallax thing, right? You're underwater and you look at something and you go, that's a fish I can eat for 2 or 3 days. Look at it, it's the size of that fish. It's huge. It's massive. You shoot the fish, you bring it up on shore, and you're not looking at it through the goggles anymore, and it's just a minnow size fish. So I'm just I'm not good at judging that kind of thing. So I was never it never intrigued me. It wasn't one of the things that I included in the sport of diving.
Well, I did. I think you can, but I think that was very interesting when I saw that there were some senators, and due to coral, right? It's diminishing the coral reefs.
And Clint and Tina Rose Munoz Barnes.
Right, I saw that, and then I saw Manny Duenas, Mr. Duenas, right, the head of the co-op fishermen.
So there's 2 subject matter experts in my mind when it comes to fishing. One is Manny Duenas, and the other one is Johnny Atulai. Right? I'll talk to anybody else about fishing, but it doesn't matter what they say. I'm going to go back to Manny and say, what do you think? And Manny's position is great. Another piece of legislation that's going to make things tougher for recreational fishermen. This is going to make it tougher for people that will go out and catch some fish for the barbecue, for the family, for the fiesta. Right? And so there needs to be some kind of compromise look at this. And I don't know how many guys are out there that are actually involved in in spearfishing with scuba tanks.
Yeah, and especially right there, right? It's in a specific area as well. So I
don't know where in particular they're targeting, but this is like a fishing killjoy. My instincts are to protect the fishermen. I like fish, and one of the things I was trying to look up this morning is I wanted to find out, based on the last economic census that we had around here, how much is the price of fish? What is has it gone up in 2019, 2018? And it's a supply and demand thing. If guys can't go out there and fish and then take it to the fish stores, then the price of the fish that are in the fish stores that might be getting caught somewhere else, different islands, is going to be going up.
Yeah,
which means that my parrotfish at Pirates Cove,
it's going up.
It's going to be $20.
It's going up.
And probably end up being smaller fish.
I just recently got into. I know I'm a little late, about 18, 19 years too late, but I've just recently over the weekend got into Survivor. If anybody's ever heard of that TV show, Survivor.
Show?
Yes,
the reality TV show.
Right. I just recently got into it.
Why?
I watched it. Well, because I guess
we already know who won.
There's a current season. There's a current season on right now that just started last Thursday, and it just happened to be on. I've never given an iota of attention to it at all. I'm a big Lost fan, but it was on. I watched 30 minutes of it. I was hooked. Then I realized on Hulu they have every season, all 36 seasons of Survivor in its entirety. So I watched one. Don't judge me, but on Saturday I killed one whole season of Survivor in one day.
Wow.
On Typhoon Saturday. We never lost power. So, and it intrigued me, too, because the very first season I ever started with Survivor was Gen X versus Millennials. And I started it at about 8 or 9 in the morning on Saturday and about 11 p.m. on Saturday.
You just know there were boys crying, millennial boys crying.
There were a couple.
I'm sure.
There were a couple of them. There were definitely a couple of them. There were some hooking ups. There were some nicknames.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. I don't know. I'm not crazy.
There was some laziness, but anyway, I'm currently on the Palau season, the season 10, where the very first season, because they've been to Palau a couple times. But this is the first season that they went to Palau, and to watch some of them who have never stepped foot in the wilderness, it looks like try to fish in Palau, and try to catch shark with sea snake bait, and it's a lot of fun. It just makes me. I don't think you got to worry about those people decimating your coral reef because they're not catching anything.
So after the bright flash, they're going to be the first to die. That's what's going to happen. They'll be the first. They'll be eating each other. They'll be eating their own corpses. It's 8:24 in the morning, and that's all we got for sports because there's nothing else going on. There ain't jack going on. We don't have any. There's no decent basketball that anybody seems to be talking about these days. I haven't heard anything about NFL is on the quiet for a while, except for stories about the owners of football teams going to buy me drinky bars in Florida, and then we got baseball season where we got games that are getting played, but nothing really counts.
One thing to note about baseball that Blake and I can probably talk about a bit is the strange nature of this year's free agency. You have some really big names of the game that have not been taken on by teams, and it's bringing about some talk of owner collusion and other things. So you've got guys like Bryce Harper, right? He hasn't been taken yet. He's arguably one of the top 5 players in the league.
They're trying they're trying to shut out these players and stop them from getting $260 million deals. While meanwhile, the Colorado Rockies and Nolan Arenado today just solidified a 4-year, $260 million deal.
I couldn't name 3 actual baseball teams, and there's no way that I could name any of the quote big names in baseball.
The Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox.
Okay, that's 3.
The Cubs.
There's more. There are others.
The
Dodgers.
It's just not in my head.
Yeah,
it's not one of those things. Uncle Robert knows everything about the Dodgers.
Well, the thing is I get it too, especially if you don't have a team, because my team has been so bad historically for so long that and it's a long season, 161 games.
When is Mark Colby going back to work?
That's a good question. I haven't had.
When's the season start? The GML starts soon.
It should be March. I saw that he got honored at his work on Facebook. For 5 years of service down at the Nico. But I believe he said first week of March, which for it to be the shortest month, February sure takes a long time to get through.
God, have you noticed?
Yes. People are like, shortest month. It is, but it feels like it's 2 months long.
What is today, 27?
Yeah, we still got
the last couple of days left. It's still in front of it. And maybe it's just a long week. It just feels like a long week. Anyways, 8:26 in the morning. I'm trying to figure out whether there's anything else that is going on in the world of anywhere near the world of sports. And since it's not, I will celebrate a little bit of a victory. Actually, 2 victories, if you don't mind. Victory number 1, my Stitch Fix box came in yesterday.
What's in?
Oh, you love the shirt.
That's very nice.
Tell me you dig the shirt.
I do. I like it. I like
It's
it.
a nice little material. Goes with my
With the
Tommy
ripped
Hilfiger
pants.
shorts, right? So I'm digging.
And that's
I'm digging
not
that.
pink, friends. That's salmon.
Call it pink. I don't care.
I don't
You
even
know,
think it's
I'm
either.
I'm okay with my
That's
sexuality.
like brick. It's more brick.
I'm confident in my.
It's more faded brick.
Yeah, that works too. That works too. So that was victory number 1. Victory number 2 was I finally got to the end of Umbrella Academy.
How was it?
So there's going to be season 2.
Did you?
So it goes right into season 2. Everything lined up too easily. At the end of this, and I'm going, okay, I think I know. And so there's the plot twist in the last couple of minutes. I won't give up too much of that for people that are still in the middle of it. But suffice to say that there is going to be a season 2.
Is your favorite character the talking chimp with the accent?
You would think
he's very intriguing in the trailers.
You would think I have not yet lit up my favorite character. It might be Hazel. It might be the assassin Hazel.
Right.
It might also be Cha-Cha.
Okay.
Between those two, because at least I know where they are in the moral compass. Everybody else, I'm just wow, I don't know. Of course, the mom character is a hottie.
Right.
So that's fun to look at.
And the fake Tom Hardy. That's not really Tom Hardy. Just looks a lot like Tom Hardy, right?
Is it? Okay.
Is it not Tom Hardy? I don't know if it is. Or I haven't checked the IMDb.
It's an interesting show, and I told you I started watching Penny something, right?
Penny.
The scary one.
Pennywise?
Pennywise.
Yeah.
No, not the clown. It's an actual Netflix show.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one.
Anyway, so it's Penny. Somebody will answer it on Facebook Live. Somebody will give me the thing.
Meanwhile, Survivor is cooking. We all watch Exile Island. It's coming out this week.
I just don't see the point in watching old shows.
No. Well, there's
reality
a new.
shows.
There's a new one now. There's meaning I'm keeping up with the current season, which just started last week. So I got a new episode and a current season of Survivor that's going on right now. I'm just going back and watching the old episodes to kind of appreciate how the game's played. I don't know nothing about it. I didn't know that there's immunity idols. I don't know anything about it. So I kind of familiarized myself.
Jumping in, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's all right. And it's not to say that you don't go and watch old shows. I mean,
Right.
I spent a long time watching old reruns of one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, which was called Alias Smith and Jones.
Oh, okay.
Well, cowboy show, and you could take that and turn it into a modern day saga, which is it was a terrific. But I'm looking for High Chaparral. Thank you, Penny Dreadful. Charlie is asking, is it Penny Dreadful? It is Penny Dreadful that I've been watching. It's basically the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, it's even got a James Bond character. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The movie had Sean Connery.
Right, the main character, the Invisible Man, and all kinds of stuff.
One of the main guys in this one is Timothy Dalton, who played James Bond as well.
Oh, right on. Very cool.
And
very
so
cool.
you got the Frankenstein, character, and they just in the version in the show I saw just introduced the original Frankenstein monster.
I go back at night, kind of a dinner time show, just because it's easy to watch, 20 minutes, and it's very wholesome and fun and really quick and easy. I'm teaching my kids about I Love Lucy. So we're going back. We're about season 3 of I Love Lucy. They got the old ones on Hulu.
That's the real deal. That's
it's like
comedy.
20 minutes, 23 minutes. Gold. It's high comedy. It's slapstick.
But follow that up with Laverne and Shirley, because the funny thing about Laverne and Shirley was kind of a revamping of that whole slapstick thing that hadn't really been seen on TV for many years up until that point.
For a while.
So,
and comedy geniuses between the two of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And the writers as well. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was so cool, too. What's cool about people forget about how innovative Desi Arnaz was. He came up with basically syndication and reruns,
right.
And he also came up with the multi-camera sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, let's put a camera here, here, and here. So, yeah, very cool to go back and watch that old stuff because, it was brand new at the time.
The Honeymooners.
The Honeymooners is also,
Yeah.
And Andy Griffith, if you can find it.
I watch these shows, and I don't know that they mean something to us. They're relevant to us in our age group, and we came from, I don't know, a kinder, gentler time, but it wasn't necessarily political correctness gone awry. So I wonder that if those shows would have the same kind of relevance to kids today. I mean, the kids watching it at your house because you're watching it, but
and she's a toddler, so she's laughing at the slapstick.
Yeah,
and
so
I
when
get
she's
that.
12, will she still enjoy the show? 8:31 in the morning, and virtually virtually every woman in the world will not sit and tolerate British humor with me, and I did. That really annoys me because there's some great British comedy that is out there.
The Office. I know it's only 8 episodes, the original Office, but that's still some of the funniest stuff.
All of the Blackadder, all Blackadder is hilarious. Rowan Atkinson, before he was Mr. Bean, was the Blackadder, and there is no finer, I think, funnier British comedy that's out there.
I had a caller call in with a mic drop moment and said, you know, it doesn't really matter what you're watching as long as you're sitting down on a couch with your family and having a good, wholesome time.
That's true. There you go. Post-dinner, pre-dinner.
And
don't say it, Ray.
And
don't.
I'm not. It's like a Christmas card. It just gets you right in the feels. It's 8:32, and that's all the time we got for sports, or pretend to talk about sports. Blake Watson's going to scare up some stories, and we'll get them to you tomorrow. We got headline news with Kevin Kerrigan on the other side of these.
Make the good things last longer. Get 3 more days for free on our 3-day prepaid rate plan. That's 6 days of unlimited local calls, SMS, and 1 gig of 4G LTE data per day for just $7.95. Text HS3 to 3282 from your Docomo Pacific prepaid phone to sign up today. Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply.
2019, right? Okay, I just got. I'm signing a contract right now, and I wanted to make sure that I had the year right, so that my insurance will be in effect. It's 8:33 in the morning, and time right now for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Their managing editor, Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning: the Guam Police Department looking for a bronze-colored 2010 Hyundai Tucson with dark tinted windows, which may have belonged to the Korean man who was found dead last week at a construction company storage lot in Harmon, the day after the man's body was found, and a death investigation declared by the Guam Police Department. GPD issued a release asking for the public's assistance in connection with a theft of motor vehicle investigation. It's not often that police issue a community-wide notice asking for help in locating a stolen vehicle. And police spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau yesterday declined to say whether there was any connection between the dead man and the vehicle. But DGX General Manager Paige Butler told the Guam Daily Post yesterday the stolen vehicle description matches the description of the vehicle that belonged to the victim, who he knew as Mr. Lee. Butler said when police spoke with him, they felt like the vehicle might have been stolen from Mr. Lee. Anyone with information about that stolen bronze-colored 2010 Hyundai Tucson is asked to call police dispatch at 472-8911 or call Guam Crime Stoppers at 477-HELP. Consolidated Commission on Utilities last night approved a 70-day notification process for back billing. Guam law allows GWA to issue back bills, charging customers up to 4 months' worth of water usage if the utility discovers a faulty meter that failed to record that usage correctly. The back billed charge is based on a customer's average daily consumption. GWA is implementing the notification policy following customer complaints about lack of timely notification. In the wake of Typhoon Wu-Tip, the Department of Public Health has issued a mosquito warning. A release from the department yesterday advises the public to clear out areas of standing water on their property where mosquitoes breed. Public Health advises that the storm's rainfall last weekend has created conditions that encourage the spread of mosquitoes, particularly the Aedes type of mosquito that breeds in standing water. It may collect in old tires and open containers. That breed of mosquito is known to transmit dengue fever, Zika, and other viruses. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Thank you, buddy. It's 8:36, and that's iConnect time. Swing by iConnect like Tarzan on the tree and learn about 2019 plan for push-to-talk, mobile, and internet. 888-8888.
Always here to help you. This island is our home. Through the years, we've been a friend to the neighbors we have known. Now we're banking on the future. Your service is to choose. Bank Pacific, where others churches, we place roots.
Made to crave menu. Very good. Boy. Remember that? The Tarzan cartoons when we were kids? It's the Tarzan, Jane, and Boy. Boy like made to crave menu. Have many good protein snack. There's something about this program after 8:30. It's just hard to recover all that. Remember when we first started, and I was all getting angry about that whole Bill 30-35 thing and the scuba, the fishing ban and all of that, and now it's just, boy, barbecue cheeseburger is good, sweet and smoky barbecue sauce in it. The Sauceum bacon cheeseburger with bacon for days, and of course the peppercorn mushroom melt with savory mushrooms. It's the made to crave menu. Swing by and try it today.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Traffic gizmo time. Let's see where the traffic situations are lined up for you today. If you are one of the second string, wow. You know, it's not all the time. This one here just jumps right out at you. It's southbound traffic, Marine Corps Drive, right as you pass the flea market area, and then you go towards the intersection of 1 and 3, and then all the way down past the Micronesia Mall. I got a line of traffic that doesn't seem to want to let go here. Apparently, everybody has hit the road at the same time and moving in the same direction. So if you're stuck in that, you know, it's stop and go from about there all the way through the intersection and even past the Wendy's and the Jack in the Box. Expect that to clear up maybe around St. John's, and then it ought to be clear going for most of the rest of it. Don't see too much happening in front of ITC or the Epau Road intersection, although there are some intersections that are a little bit more busy than others. Route 8 all the way into downtown should be all right. Route 4 all the way into downtown looking pretty good. 10 and 15 a little bit rugged here for second string traffic, as is the area that takes you into GCC and UOG and GW. Still a little bit busy around there. That, my friends, is right now traffic here in Des Moines.
Attention homeowners, MRE solar energy systems now come with battery storage for zero money down. This means that your home will have power even when the island power isn't available, like during power outages or during and after storms. The inconvenience of not having power for your home is a thing of the past. It's solar with battery storage exclusively by Micronesia Renewable Energy. Don't be left in the dark. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
In 20 minutes, it'll be 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, serious. Get serious. It's talk radio, man. It's supposed to be serious when you do this stuff. 888-825-5888-TALK. And a bunch of items in the table of contents. All kinds of stuff we get to riff on. And isn't it just, it's a great and beautiful and wonderful thing, is it not, that we've got the legislature is in session. Is that not the most beautiful thing in the whole wide world? Because when they're in session, there's just all kinds of opportunities for news and conversation. Even though because they don't have a whole lot on their plate, they were only going in to talk about 3 different bills. And so they get into they walked into Jimmy Moylan's got a bill in there about the liquid fuels tax and what can and can't be done with the Territorial Highway Fund. And then you've got, golly, there was another measure. I can't remember what it is. It has to do with points on applications for employment in the government of Guam that I didn't understand when I read it, and I understand even less of it now. And then we got the 30-35. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can look at it. One of them is an opportunity to be able to provide for employees of the government of Guam that might want to select Take Care as their health insurance provider to be able to have access to Guam Regional Medical City, even though Take Care doesn't actually have an agreement with Guam Regional Medical City, and I don't know that there will ever be an agreement. Take Care's position, for the most part, is, hey, we're a private business. You cannot tell us what we can and can't do. in order to be able to do business with the government of Guam. We still got hospitals that we talk to. We still service that we provide. And if we were to go to work with GRMC, or if this bill were to pass, and everybody had to do business with GRMC, what is the guarantee? What is the assurance that GRMC won't take advantage of this now stronger, mandated by law position that everybody include them and jack up their rates? Now, Eric and Francie in the studio said, "Oh, come on, it's us. It's not going to happen." But I don't know. Will it always be Francie? Will it always be Dr. Mike? Will it always be Eric Plinsky? You sit and go, well, duh, of course it will. I don't know. There's a different board. There's fights over the boardroom and who can occupy the boardroom. Margaret Bengzon, as far as I was concerned, plank owner of the place, and was going to be there just like the paint on the walls. And apparently that may not be the case when it comes to GRMC. So I don't know. And then the other part of it is if Take Care does have to do this, we guarantee that there's going to be an increase in rates, at least for the Take Care customers. 100% of that increase is not going to be borne by the employees and the retirees. Those funds are generally subsidized. A significant portion of their pay for those kinds of things are borne by the taxpayers. They always say government of Guam. Government of Guam's contribution is this. That's bull. It's not the government of Guam's contribution. It's the taxpayers' contribution. And so I'd like to know what that taxpayer contribution is going to end up being. And until I do, I don't know that I'd be comfortable voting on it. And that's why I've been referring to the legislature as the 15 blind mice all morning. Because they seem to, they're still entertaining the conversation. They moved it to the voting pile. And I'm going, well, how can you even move it to the voting pile if you don't know what the numbers are? You're walking blind into this. Or maybe it just doesn't make any difference because it's taxpayers. It's the taxpayers that are going to have to pay the difference on this. It's not us. We're okay with this. This is something that's going to affect our health insurance. We want to make sure we can go to GRMC as well. Okay. All right, but what's the deal going to be on the taxpayers? And they haven't been able to answer that question. There are 3 fiscal notes, and all 3 of them say the same thing. We don't know. We don't know what the impact is going to be. If you don't know what the impact is going to be, how can you, with a straight face, look the taxpayers in the eye and say this is what we're going to be doing? What's the deal there? So I don't know about that. The legislators, certain members of the body got together yesterday and had a conversation about what was it that they were yammering on about? The idea that there is a mistake that was made by the 34th Guam legislature, and the fix on that is to put the words "or more" in the deal, which means that properties that are valued in excess of $1 million are going to be taxed at a higher rate. And as I'm fond of saying to you over and over again, businesses don't pay taxes. They collect them from their customers and then give it to the taxing authority. That's what's going to happen here. Good morning, Bob.
This is Bob Kelly.
I know who it is.
Hi.
Hi. What's going on?
Well, it's very strange. I went straight into your on-hold feedback and straight to you without Mike in the middle. I just wanted to say you're missing.
Because Mike is busy with Tello.
Okay. You're missing something on the level playing field procurement of the insurance.
Hit me.
Okay. If Select Care and Staywell have GRMCC in their coverage, and they've accounted for that in their rates, and Take Care is bidding against them for Gov Guam and doesn't and has a lower rate, you've automatically skewed the government of Guam to the carrier not involving it, and that leaves the other 2 carriers out.
That's correct.
Well, that's not a very level playing field for competitive rates. Everybody should have the same coverage if it's going to be a level playing field.
Well, how do you get that level playing field if you can't get 2 of the players together?
Well, there is a complication there, and I don't know what's going on in the negotiations. Yeah. Going back to the Gov Guam side, you have 2 players who are offering it, and one is, if 2 players' inclusion has it and one doesn't, and the 2 are even $10 a month higher, I don't know what it would be, then they would be losing the bid because they're $10 higher because they've included something the other was not required.
Then we can't do an exclusive catch. We'd have to go back to multiplayer offers. So all three of the guys come in and they say, if you want coverage that includes GRMC, it's this price and this is the carrier that has it. If you want coverage that includes that is just whatever and it's cheaper, then you go with this guy.
And then the difference would generally be paid by the employee. No problem on that, except the reason we went to single exclusivity is because that saves something, I forget how many millions of dollars. This was done when BJ was Speaker.
I remember.
And they put it in to save money so that everybody would go to one place and get a lower rate.
But we're not all going to the same place that has the same features, right?
Well, then we're going back non-exclusive, and then everybody's going to have higher rate. I mean, it may turn out that the difference in cost of having multiple providers will end up being more than just having Take Care add that additional in GRMC. We don't know the answer to that.
which is the other interesting part of the what-if situation is you and I, we're basically rolling the dice on what this is going to cost in either scenario.
And I get the point that you're making as far as if I'm choosing electively to go to GRMC, I should pay the price. But if I've got a person in an auto accident, a heart attack, or a stroke in Dededo, and they're taken to GRMC the closest, and it's not paid at all by the insurance company, and it's all stuck on that person, that's not exactly a fair situation either.
I don't know how they work that around, and it is possible, though, that there is an agreement. I want to say I've got something that looks like an agreement, at least on emergency room services. I got to look that up real quick and see if I can get.
I think there's a problem there because one of my employees got hit with a several $1,000 bill for emergency room.
Yeah, the covered person shall be responsible for charges by a non-participating provider in excess of eligible charges, except out-of-service area emergency, or when the non-participating provider is sole source provider, as defined in Section 7.9 of the agreement. A covered person using a non-participating provider for PPACA emergency shall not be liable for co-payments or co-insurance in excess of co-payments and co-insurance that would have been charged if participating providers had been used. The company shall pay an amount for PPACA emergency services computed as provided by this agreement. That is part of Take Care's contract.
But they're going to say that if you're on Guam, you're in the service area.
That could be. I don't know.
Yeah. If you were in California or New York, you're out of the service area. That's different. But on Guam, if they take you to GRMC, and I was a little bit upset because they continued keeping the person at GRMC without giving him the option to move out of there while they were running up the bill.
Yeah, I want to say I'd heard that.
GRMC on that.
Yeah, I want to say I heard that story. I heard that story too. It's still it's a sticky wick any way you look at it. You know, there's going to be some people that say, you know, it's a corporate welfare or something like that. But for me, until we have the answer on all of the different question marks, I think it would be irresponsible to present it to the legislature for an up-down vote.
But one thing to go back and consider is the rates at GRMC also include the rates that are in there for Medicare, which has been approved by the federal government at a substantially higher rate than Guam Memorial.
So the question came up this morning from a listener, wanted to know if we could take at least the retirees and have them covered by Medicare.
Well, that's the way it is at the moment. Is if you're a retiree, you've got options with several of the insurance companies to use your Medicare, and they do the Medicare Plus, and they have a much lower cost under that, and they include the Medicare for the hospitalization, and they have to get Medicare to cover your physicians, and they just cover the difference, which is much lower.
Now, does that apply? Did GovGuam employees pay into Medicare, or would we have to buy in credits?
GovGuam employees have been paying into Medicare since Carl was governor.
Okay. All right. Well, that answers that question then. So that maybe the smarter move might be to see if we can have that taken care of by federal insurance.
Well, that's been the reason that they went under the Medicare was to provide that so that the government of Guam wouldn't be taking care of people, when they get into the very higher medical expenses, totally out of the insurance from the retirement fund.
Concur, Dr. Kelly. Hey, listen, I got Tello Taitagui on the line. I've got some senatorial stuff that she wants to. I want to talk with her about. All right, I'll see you pretty soon. 888-825-5888-TALK. Session at 9 o'clock this morning, so we're going to have to go fast. Good morning, Senator Tello Taitagui.
Good morning, and how you doing, Guam and Ray Gibson?
So you want to go karaoke with my producer, huh?
Oh, I was going to apologize for keeping him on the line and not taking care of your other constituents there. We had a great talk about music. He has an amazing voice, and I say this all in good tensions and nothing more of that. I'm just gaga over his voice.
No, I don't disagree. Let's go. And so it'd be cool because he's also a DJ, and so when we go karaoke, he can intro us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, singing his version of My Funny Valentine. Here's morning guy Ray Gibson, and then a pound right into the post. My Funny Valentine.
My Funny Valentine with that kind of voice. Well, I told him if we go to karaoke, I get to pick all the songs he has to sing. Whether he knows it or not, he has to attempt it.
What's the name of that place in Tumon, the third floor? You park in
Rockies.
I'm not going to remember it.
Or something rockular. It's been so long since I've been out.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that place, you got to be careful because that place is nothing but good singers. Anyway, 8:52 in the morning. Term limit. No, wait. Let me start with this. Are you one of the 14 blind mice, or are you going to take a pass on 30-35 until we know what the numbers are?
Let's go straight into term limits. Let's go into exit 6.
No. Real quick, how are you going to vote if it comes down to it today on 30?
Because I have to get into session. We're going into session here in about 5 minutes, actually 4 minutes now, because I've got to get in there. But I wanted to touch base a little bit on exit 6.
Exit 6, what's that?
After 6 years, you're out of the list.
Oh, that one. Yeah, your press release made reference to the possibility that despite what might be understood on the Organic Act's prohibition of making any changes to the qualifications for a senator, you think you might have found a loophole?
Yeah, definitely. There is no reason why the legislature cannot, like it said in the law, the Guam Code, not the Guam Code, I'm sorry, the
Organic Act.
It's an Organic Act that we have the right as a legislative body to decide how we dictate ourselves, as long as we have biannual elections.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing in there that says that we can't put term limits on it. There is a restriction on how many members to sit in the legislature, like up to 21, and that's it. But no, I think I've been a big fan of this since I ran in 2006. And I even became a bigger fan when Senator Yamashita and Mike Limtiako introduced the bill in the 31st Guam legislature. Mm-hmm. And again, it was introduced. Yeah, it keeps coming in. It keeps being introduced. But this time, what makes my bill different is that we're not asking for 4-year terms for a senator. It's still 2 years. We can't seem to get over that hurdle. By the public not wanting senators to do more than 2-year terms. So that being the case, then okay.
You served with Matt Rector. I think right there is the would be. Yeah, that's why we don't want to go any longer than a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm sorry I spoke of you, Ray. What did you say? I served with Matt Rector, and then what?
I said that's your example. That's the reason why we don't want any terms longer than 2 years.
Okay. Yes, very true, very true. But Ray, I've been getting some emails, of course, and I read all of them, and phone calls from individual people. And one sparked an interest to me, and then another group of people, my regular MOSA's group that I get together on Wednesday night. Okay. I brought this up to them and listening to their opinion, and someone mentioned, well, Senator, I think you should also do term limits on the CCU as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So apply it to the Consolidated Commission on Utilities, so you don't have guys that are in there for a long time becoming utility czars.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm sure they brought this up because of what happened during this last, I don't even call it a banana typhoon. Thank God it didn't hit us. But, I'm sure they were kind of upset because our power was going out within the hour, at least three times in an hour, going off and on. And you know how much those appliances took in, damage part as far as
At my transmitter side, I had to get off GPA completely because I was having problems with the phase of the electricity that was coming in, and it was, I'm sure, damaging some equipment. So I had to master down in order to save the equipment and be able to stay on the air. I mean, if I'm not sending enough power to the transmitter, it won't stay on, which, as it turns out, was the problem. At any rate, so what specifically is there? I'm looking at the language of it here, and this is where it says the conversation about who can get elected. The legislature shall be composed of not to exceed 21 members, to be known as senators elected at large or elected from legislative districts, which is another fun conversation, or elected in part at large and in part from legislative districts, as the laws of Guam may direct, provided that any districting and any apportionment pursuant to this authorization and provided for by the laws of Guam shall not deny to any person in Guam the equal protection of the laws, and provided further that in any election to the legislature, every elector shall be permitted to vote for the whole number of at-large candidates to be elected, and every elector residing in the legislative district shall be permitted to vote for the whole number of candidates to be elected within that district. Then it goes on to apportionment, timing, scope of legislative authority. I'm looking for the specific language that identifies people that may be candidates for the legislature.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that, if you ask me, is kind of the important part, because it is that is what outlines where the Organic Act is, that states that it's got to be somebody this age, this much in height and whatever, and where we should not be able to add to that. So I'm trying to sort out what that loophole is that would provide that authority to this legislature.
Right. Ray, I would like to continue to talk to you, but I just had the Sergeant of Arms come in here and saying, okay, we're about ready to go, so I got to get going.
So my lawyer can beat up your Sergeant at Arms. You just tell him you're talking to Ray. It's me. So this afternoon, when it comes to the vote, you got to answer this. And when it comes to the vote this afternoon, how will you vote on 30-35?
Yeah, I did want to mention something else to you. What I found out.
You can't dodge the question. 30-35. You're going to vote for it or not?
Talk about Senator Ted Cruz. How he introduced. If you want to look that up too as well, he introduced legislation as well for term limits for senators and congressmen. So. I thought that was pretty good. That was hand in hand.
You're going to end up buying me the drinks all night at karaoke when we do this if you don't answer the question. So 30-35, is it yes or no?
Thank you so much, Ray. I got to go. Heading out. I'll call you. I'll see you in Barragata Heights. Okay, bye.
Hiya, Day. You know what? Maybe we should, next interview, she has to be in the studio where she cannot just run away and scamper off and say,
you could tell she's done this senator thing before.
The Sergeant at Arms is looking for me. See, now that's why, there's another reason why we don't want term limit, why we want term limits here. Hello, you got to answer the question, babe. 9 o'clock in the morning, the radio station is KUSG. What have we got coming up for you in the next hour? Oh, I don't know. We could rail against Tello for an hour, couldn't I? I could do that for another 59 and a half minutes. That could be crazy fun. Hey, got Fox News Live coming up first, no matter what. So we'll come back on the other side of that and figure out how we're going to kill another hour before 10.
The House takes action. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Lawmakers voting on a measure that would revoke President Trump's declaration of a national emergency on the southern border. Fox's Jared Halpern has more live on Capitol Hill.
In her closing argument, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told colleagues the resolution terminating President Trump's national emergency declaration is not about a border wall.
We are not going to give any president, Democratic or Republican, a blank check to shred the Constitution of the United States.
If the Democratic-controlled House approves the resolution, the Republican-led Senate is expected to take action next month. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he won't handicap the outcome.
We have some real serious lawyers in there discussing that very issue.
The Senate approval would send the resolution to President Trump. He has indicated a veto. Lisa.
Thanks, Jared. Summit round 2. President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Vietnam as they prepare for their second round of talks.
The big question,
question, is Kim any closer to making good on his pledge to dismantle his nuclear program? Pressure is building on President Trump from both sides of the congressional aisle to push him to do that. There is some concern within the administration that the whole idea of denuclearization has now become a negotiating point when it should be an absolutely non-negotiable item, and that the United States seems on a path to give concessions to Kim to move him down that road. President Trump insists that sanctions will stay on North Korea until Kim does something to start actually dismantling his nuclear program.
Fox's John Roberts in Hanoi. President Trump's former personal lawyer is now a former lawyer, while Michael Cohen was in Washington testifying behind closed doors before the Senate Intelligence Committee. A New York court ruled that his guilty plea last November automatically stripped him of his ability to practice law. This is Fox News.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Great news from Exchanged, Guam's #1 online and mobile remittance service to the Philippines. Get a chance to win a trip for 2 to Manila with 3 days and 2 nights accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. Here's how to join. Download the Exchanged app or visit exchange.me. Sign up and send money to the Philippines. You can also visit the Exchanged office inside the iConnect building in Upper Tumon. Promo ends May 2nd, 2019. Call 888-736-3 for more information. Conditions apply. Take advantage of Exchange Dollar to Remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
A record fine for a casino company for failing to investigate reports of sexual misconduct against its now former CEO. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, the Nevada Gaming Commission fined Wynn Resorts $20 million because they did not investigate sexual abuse claims against former CEO Steve Wynn. He resigned about a year ago after women who worked at his resorts made the accusations. One woman said he raped her and she got pregnant. In the settlement, Wynn Resorts acknowledges former board members and executives knew about some of these claims but didn't do anything. In a statement, Wynn Resorts defends itself, saying their initial response was driven by Wynn's adamant denial of the accusations. They do get to keep their gambling license, but gaming regulators in Massachusetts and Macau are investigating the company's handling of these allegations as well, Lisa.
Jessica, a special election to fill the last undetermined congressional race will take place without the Republican candidate. North Carolina's Mark Harris saying he will not take part in the redo election due to health reasons. He says he needs surgery that's scheduled for late March. The United Auto Workers Union files a federal lawsuit against General Motors' plans to close plants in 3 states.
The UAW says the current 2015 labor agreement makes it illegal for GM to continue with plans to close 3 plants, taking with it 14,000 jobs. Though based on a contract that expires in September, GM saying in a statement that plant closures in Ohio, Michigan, and Maryland don't violate the UAW contract. President Trump and Democrats alike denounced the move that GM has also said will ensure the company is around for the next several decades. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
On Wall Street, the Dow fell 33 points, the Nasdaq off 5 points, the S&P lost 2. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
5 after 9, 888-825-5888-TAL. Keep that number handy. I want you to keep this in your head as well. Some of the best food that you're going to ever eat on Guam can be found at King's. I think they got my mom's recipe on a couple of things. But they've also got I got to reach over and grab it here. I don't actually have it in front of me or committed to memory yet. The Crazy 19 menu. And on the Crazy Local 19 menu, if in case it starts raining again, try the soupy, stewy stuff that they've got there. Kadun manok, teriyaki pot roast. There's beefsteak chamorro and beef tinaktak. Now, I like me some beef tinaktak. And the one they have there has ground beef, long beans, onions, and spices. And you can tell I stick a little bit of garlic in there, slow stewed in coconut cream. And then they serve the thing over rice. And I don't know that you can have tinaktak without rice. There's some places where I go where they have a separate, you get the tinaktak over here and the rice over here. And I'm like, no. Just bring it next to me in one big bowl of tinaktak and rice. That's the way I want it. A little Tabasco on the side. I know what I'm having for lunch today at King's.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Rita Tidegli of Manila, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Ingatan ang iyong tahanan. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
I'm standing. Just FYI, I move the camera around a little bit and tell you that portions of the Ray Gibson Show, the part where I stand up, brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy, the first choice for all of your, wait a second, no, not the first choice for anything, for all of your solar panel needs. Yeah, because they know how to put those things in, drill them into the concrete. They don't fly away. And also brought to you by Guam Regional Medical City. These guys are your first choice for all of your specialty care needs.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
So I got, 7 after 9? Is that what the ridiculous time is here in the program? And still, awful lot of stuff to talk about on the actual radio here today. We spent a lot of time talking about 30-34, and I think anybody that votes for it over at the legislature without having any idea of what the impact is, whether you're voting yes or no, ought to turn back in the raise your right hand, the oath, because you're doing it wrong. If you don't know what the fiscal impact is going to be, after 3 fiscal notes that say even we don't know what the impact is going to be, then you can't vote on it. It seems to me that this is blindly walking at the edge of the cliff, and you're going to step right off of it. And it is early enough in this new term that you might have a measure that comes up down the road for which you will be forgiven for voting the wrong way or voting at all on this measure. So it's possible that there might be some kind of Lazarus measure that you have in the next, 18 months or so between now and the next election, where people say, well, I'll forgive you for voting without knowing what the numbers were because you've got this piece of legislation, I don't know, puts money in my pocket or something. I don't know. There might be this Lazarus, but don't count on it. Yeah. Don't count on it. There's going to be a lot of people watching to see in this first round of voting at the legislature which way this fish is going to flop, which way this 35th Guam legislature is going to flop. Will it be something that is all about the government of Guam employees, all about maintaining the status quo, or is it going to be all about all of that changey stuff that everybody was talking about during the election, and smart, well-prepared, and well-informed decisions on the votes? So what's it going to be? Just tell us, just show it to us now, before the end of the day, so we can decide whether or not our votes, our very important and humbly ask for your vote, all of that stuff. I hope you're still ready to be humble when it comes to be the next election. There's a bunch of people for whom I gave up votes for, and I'd like to see the return on that investment come back to me in the form of lower cost government, something that I can afford, something that Mike can afford. And something that we're making, as I said, well-informed and reasoned decisions. And you can't vote on something as expensive and as big as the health insurance contracts for the government of Guam without knowing what the nut's going to be at the end of the day. Or do you just assume that the taxpayers are going to be okay paying more and receiving less for our taxes?
I was just going to say.
Did I get it all?
I think you did. But unfortunately, nothing will ever change here because the people that are actually in control, and none of them are in the legislature or in the governor's office, will not allow their votes to get rocked. That's just island life, man.
There's Rudy Magallanes who's asking a question. May I ask any word on tax refunds? Just putting in a word. Look at this. This is how badly the government is beating beating on the population around here.
They're apologizing for asking.
I'm apologizing for asking where my money is. That's right there. There's the indication, ladies and gentlemen. We're just completely whipped. We can't just. I overpaid last year. I don't know. It came out that way. It was always all done with the numbers, and it was plus in my favor, and I turned it in. I just like to know when I might be able to get my hands on that money. I don't know, Rudy. What's going to be happening? May I ask any word on tax refunds, please? I'm sorry. Rudy, I'll see what I can find. Generally, we use the same telephone numbers that you use when you call the Department of Revenue and Taxation. It actually used to be easier when I had more relatives working there, but now that we're in a Democrat administration, there's still some that work there. They're just not in positions of authority anymore, so I won't be able to find out that number for you. We'll see what we can do at some point. Maybe I'll in the next break. And could you remind me in the next break? I'll send a note to Daff and see if she's got 20 seconds to be able to type in where they are on tax refunds. They ought to have some money. They ought to have some money for tax refunds because last week was real property tax day. So they ought to have some money that had come in to be able to support that. Yeah, Rudy writes back, nobody answers the phone. I know, they know that's a problem out there. You know, Rudy, that has been a problem with the Department of Revenue and Taxation since I was working at the other radio station, the other talk radio station. It is the same question that people ask. I just need to find out where they are on tax refunds. You know, we used to be able to get that information from Oyal when she was working in the governor's office, but now she works over at the Guam Daily Post, and she might still be able to get her hands on the information, but I don't know. I don't know. I'll see what I can find out when I have an opportunity to press the button and actually find out about it. On the table of contents, you get that, and then you've got the other conversation about the scuba fishing ban that Sabina is talking about. Senator Sabina is talking about over at the legislature. She's introduced a piece of legislation. I haven't read it, but I assume that it is a wholesale. If you are using scuba, you're not allowed to bring fish out of the water. Ban on all of that. I don't like bans. I don't like the word ban, and I don't like zero tolerance on some things. I think there are places where we need to be a little bit more tolerant, and especially here on Guam. This is an island, and people that live on island ought to be able to use any technology available to them to be able to stick something in the water and pull out a fish. Because it's an island, and that's what island people do. And so what? All of these things that would serve to act as a disincentive for fishermen, I think that sucks. And I'll give you a real world example of what happens when people forget how to fish. A couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, was a big typhoon. And it rolled right over a bunch of islands in Yap. And I places where I know these people. I mean, talk to them on the ham radio. I know who these people are. And a buddy of mine, we finally got an antenna strung up between the last two coconut trees that were still standing. And I said, "How you doing?" He says, "Man, we got hit hard." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, banana trees are down, knocked down a bunch of the big lemai trees, right, for breadfruit. And there's just nothing clinging to the ground anymore." I said, you guys going to be okay? He says, "Yeah, some of the water stills are still, making fresh water for us." I said, what about food? And he said, "Well, that's going to be tough because we got to get everything." These guys were in Ulithi, so everything had to be coming in from the main Yap Island, right? And I said, "Yeah, I guess that'll take you a couple of days." I said, "Can you go fishing in the water?" He laughed at me. He says, "We don't know how to fish anymore. We don't know how to do that. The fish comes to us in cans. The fish comes. Somebody else caught this." We don't, it's the atoll living has changed completely with the westernization of those islands, and they no longer know how to do it. And I'm worried that we're headed straight into that as well.
So much for civilization.
Yeah, I mean, you see some of the pest guys out there, the ones that won't get chased off. Johnny Atulai's got some pretty awesome fishing methods, and the idea is we'll pull a lot of fish out of the ground, out of the water, and share it from among all of the people that helped me get all the fish out of here. Whatever's left over, give to somebody else. And so I worry that there's a generation, the same generation that is losing touch with the language. I'm positive I'm the last of the Mohicans that still chews hard betel nut on Guam. I hardly ever see anybody else chewing it. That's why I walk around with betel nut in my pocket, and I know I'm never going to have to share it with anybody.
Well, fact is, in most places now, you can't even go in. The mall, you can't go into Micronesia. They don't want you in there with betel nut. They tell you, and many signs all over the place. Don't choose betel nut.
It's not hard betel nut the way I chew it. My grandmother taught me how to chew hard betel nut. My mother and I chewed hard betel nut. I chew hard betel nut. It's not the same as the spitting betel nut that other people, the signs that you see, those are for the spitting betel nut people, not
Clearly,
not
I
me.
don't know the difference.
You'll like it. Yeah, a piece of betel nut, a piece of hard betel nut, and a light beer. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, nice.
Well, when I was 13. But I digress. And then there's the other part of this here, and it's not so much the scuba fishing ban, it's just any conversation about fishing. And I've told you this 100 times. Let me do it one more time. Get a map of Guam. And take the first place that you got to do is anything on the military properties that's inaccessible to fishermen. All right, so you got the third of the north and a big chunk of the bottom. And then there's most of the eastern side of the island, which is, except for maybe a spot in front of Pirates Cove, most of the rest of it is too dangerous to fish. And there's a whole bunch of other cliffy places and a bunch of places that are private property and a bunch of places that are just very difficult for fishermen to get to. So you get these guys that have to go to more dangerous places in order to fish. And sometimes, inclement weather, rough waters, these guys go out, they don't come back. It's a dangerous activity. And it's getting that much more difficult. So now we have the conversation about, well, okay, we'll make it so that you get a boat and you can go scuba diving, but you're not going to be able to take your spear gun in there to go get it. And as Manny will point out, and I know people that are this good, free divers, fishing people that can hold their breath and go shopping for fish on underwater like it's payless. They know what kind of fish under what kind of rock at what time of year that they're going to be fishing for. And they will pull more out of the water than any of the half a dozen guys that are still using scuba to do their fishing. So I don't know. I'm all about conservation. I like the idea that Ipao Beach has come back as well as it has. That whole Ipao area has come back with the conservation efforts, and there are more fish for people to see down there. But I don't know. I hate the idea of banning it and making things tougher for fishermen that are either doing it as a hobby or just, I want to eat fish and I don't want to pay $5 a pound for fish. I'll be able to go out there, and if I got my scuba on, then I'm going to go out there and scuba fish. Don't tell me what I can and can't do in the water, okay? 9:19 in the morning, 8, just the thoughts in my head. You're welcome to go in and spend some time talking about it. Facebook Live, Vincent, Bernard and Doreen Manabusin are there. Rudy Magallanes says, yeah, now it's so hard. I remember when I was young, used to fish for my mom and dad every weekend. I go fishing in the early mornings and fish a two-life for them. Richard Leon says, fish conservation has no value. Planning isn't considered as a licensed trip. Oh, there's that. Some people talk about maybe we ought to just license it. And is a scuba ban on fishing going to resolve the issue with not enough fish in the ocean? I'm with Jose on this. He writes online, the special interest legislation erosion is most probably what's killing our fish population, not fishing in scuba clothes. I think there's a lot of contributing factors of it. Erosion is very important. We have the pig derby here on Guam, and one of the reasons that we have the pig derby is to control the pig population. These ungulates, these hoofed animals that are out there, and I'm not an expert, but I know the people that are, and they say that this is something that we've got to control because they go out there and they root around and pull up the wildlife. And then the next big rains come. There was a picture. I saw a picture recently of Pago Bay. The whole Pago Bay area, and there is this huge column of red dirt, just mud, that's in there. And that is a result of the land not being able to hold on to the dirt because something might be development. Is it the four-wheel drive guys? Is it the pigs? Is it the deer? And maybe those are some of the big problems that we need to attach before we start making it harder on the one population that is probably going to end up following the rules. And that's the fishermen. 9:21. Those are the thoughts that are in my head on that. My instinct is to take care of the people that fish because I want to be able to continue to eat fish that was swimming in the ocean yesterday on my plate today. Whether it's at Pirates Cove or whether it's at Mescla or whether it's at my own house. So there's that. And you might have been shocked and amazed and annoyed, probably annoyed, at the picture on the front page of the Guam Daily Post of dumped tires. And this rankles me like you wouldn't believe. And it rankles me like you wouldn't believe because it's so easy for us to catch. These were not dumped there in the middle of the night by some just litter bug dude. You know who dumped this stuff? Is a guy that had a business going there. You come to him and say, you know what, I just need to put these tires in the car. I already got the tires. Can you do me a favor and stick them on the car? So he takes the old tires off, dumps them, and puts your new tires on. You go away, and eventually he's got more tires than he knows what to do with. And so he leaves and finds another spot. These people are like locusts, right? Goes and finds another spot and does the same thing. And you can see where they have been because they've got this pile of tires that now somebody has got to get rid of, and somebody's got to figure out what we're going to be able to do with. We've been going nuts on this. Me and the Dedado mayor have been talking about this for years. And I still don't understand how it is possible that we might have people that work in the EPA, people that are in police cars or whatever that are driving by these guys and aren't stopping them from dumping their tires in and splitting. Does anybody got a name, a phone number that we can call and say, yeah, listen, I remember when you were working at that project over by Pow Pow. Hey, maybe you forgot the tires. You know, slipped your mind. Maybe you were just distracted by something and you forgot the tires. You need to go back and get those. Because if I go back and get them, then there's going to be a big, big fine to you from the EPA. And we'll take your car and we'll take your house and we'll take your property. We'll take the equipment that you use to run these illegal tire shops. Makes too much sense, doesn't it? Probably never going to happen that way. Anyway, so that was one of the things that got me going this morning, got my heart started. That and the coffee. The coffee is working on me today. The or more legislation has magically found its way onto the agenda over at the legislature. And if you are occupying an apartment in a building that is valued at $1 million or more, your rent's going up. If you are a business in a building, and your landlord thinks the building is worth $1 million or more. Actually, he doesn't need to think it. Reverend Tax will think it. If it is valued at $1 million or more, guess what? Your rent is going up. If you're a department or agency in the government of Guam that is in a building that is worth $1 million or more, guess what? Your rent is going. It sounds like Oprah. Your rent's going up. Your rent's going up. Your rent's going up. So, because it's another tax that they're talking about, and I know how it is. They hit me with an increase in taxes, and I charge the advertisers more for that. And the advertisers say, okay, Gib, I'll pay you because, you know, advertising on your program has value there. And I'm going to increase what I got to charge my customers to take on your additional tax and the addition on the gross the business privilege tax as well. And so at the end of all of this, it's not the businesses. It's not the landowners that are going to pay. It's not the people that own the buildings that are going to pay. It is not their customers that are going to end up paying. It's the end user of whatever it is in those buildings that are going to have to pay for all of this. So there you go. There you go. And the guys, the Republicans apparently got into it and were so moved by all of this that they held some kind of a press release and said, we are the party of the Republicans and we're not going to have any more tax increases. That's the long and short of that. So Republicans, tax increase, bah. No way. We're not going to do that. But I'm trying to remember which was the party that brought the question of a tax increase to the legislature last year. Didn't that come from Adelup? Which at the time was run by Republicans. All right. You know, everybody got their little crossy thing to bear, right? Everybody's got this, like, you can't point a finger because, as they say, there's 3 pointing back at you. Which always, I guess, can I just riff on that for a second? I remember the first time hearing that going, wait a second, if I point the finger at you, there's 3 more pointing back at me. That would be these 3. And the thumb doesn't count, right? Because the thumb is technically not a finger.
That's why I make mine in a fist when I point. That's why it's pointing into my hand and you.
Wouldn't there be 4 pointing? I don't know. I got 5 fingers, don't I?
That's a thumb. That's not technically a finger. It's a thumb.
Well, that's the point that I'm trying to get to here. That's how we're going to win wars over at the legislature. We'll pass things based on the technicalities of it. It's not our bill. They will say, Joe S. will say, it's not my bill. Don't attribute this to me. Don't blame me for this. I just need to correct an error that was made in the 34th Guam legislature. Trust me, there have been mistakes made by legislatures going all the way back to the very first one. If we were going to fix them all, we'll be here all day. Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe they should vote on legislation playing a rock, paper, scissors tournament. And last one standing gets to decide whether it passes or not.
All right. Well, the 15 blind mice thing, I think I've wrung that out completely. There's a couple of other things that are interesting. Last time I had a chance to talk with Congressman Mike Nicholas, I said, Mike, tell me about your office. He said, I got an office. We're going to move in. I got an office. We're going to move in, and it will be biblical. Everybody will be happy. Chris Barnett won't be making any more stories about me. It'll be magic in Magic Mike's office, which apparently is not waterproof. I got a note from Jennifer Wynn, said we're going to have to push back the broadcast, the live broadcast of the inauguration of Congressman Mike Nicholas's office here because of the water damage that came in during the storm in the last few days. I guess they're staying there. I guess they're just going to... What's that black tape that you can buy? Was that stuff that's advertised on television? You know, it's the stuff I'm talking about.
I'm drawing a blank, man. The only tape I know that
Dave
does any
Duenas
good
knows
is,
what it is.
Yeah,
It's a spray or a caulk or there's an actual tape that you can put on things.
Wow.
We made jokes about it before. Remember when that ship hit the dock?
Oh yeah, the Flex Seal.
Flex Seal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need a reminder,
you
man. You know.
See, that's what Line 1 is calling about. Just say it's Flex Seal. That's what Ray's digging around for. So we'll just get Mike. We'll get you some congressional Flex Seal in the congressional colors, and you can apply that all over your new building, and you'll be fine. And then, yes, we will try to conduct a live broadcast from that location just to hear out what he's working on, some of the other priorities. Maybe even meet with some of the constituents, and maybe I'll have my Uncle Robert come by and help me out with the live broadcast. There it is. It's starting to come in now. There's Dave Duane just writing it down actually in front of me. Flex Seal. I think we could fix everything in the government of Guam if we had some of that Flex Seal around here. Nate Horn says, dun, dun, dun. Carl Fukuda Jr., my chickens tear up the yard also. Yeah, but you know what? I've got a thing for the chickens in the neighborhood. And I'm wondering whether I'm the only one that feeds them. I'm sorry, you distracted me, and I'm going to have to riff about chickens for a second. As I've got chickens in the yard, and I've got these feral cats in the yard as well. And I kind of want to have a party with them. And so every once in a while, you know, I'll look in the kitchen, in the fridge, see if I've got any leftovers. And if I got leftover meat, I'll put it over there, and that's for the cats. And if I have like leftover rice or bread or, you know, something from KFC or wherever, then I shred it up, and then I put that over there, and that's for the chickens and the chicks. Because I want them to know that the guy that lives in this house is a nice, nice man, and to come around all the time. Because I actually do want... I do want to see that. Kevin Kerrigan writing this morning. This just in. Bill 30 was moved to the voting file without a show of hands. A motion was made by Senator Barnes to move it to the voting file. Senator Nelson, who was serving as acting speaker, asked any objections. Seeing none, she gavelled down, and poof, it will be voted on at 4:30 today. And that's there's a section of a YouTube video that Kev sent to me that if I get some time, maybe I'll look and see if I might be able to call that up and see if there's anything entertaining about it, or just how fast was it. Any objections? Bang. Okay. Move to the voting file. No objection. Bang. That's the way it's done, isn't it? There might be a couple of other things that I've got in the table of contents that I can riff on between here and there. Bottom of the hour, 9:30. You talking to anybody interesting over there? Yeah. All right. Tell you what, we'll call that iConnect time. Swing by an iConnect today and learn about the incredible plans and packages that they have for you in 2019. Got a phone? No, they got mobile plans. Like the internet? Who doesn't? They've got plans for that, too. And then there's Push to Talk, which is an amazing creature for telecommunications. And if you don't know what that is, it's that beep-beep noise that you're going to hear in a second. And iConnect's the only guys on Guam that got it.
On March 9th, join Bank of Guam for the EFIT Run and Block Party to benefit Guam Cancer Care and American Cancer Society. Our Sunset 2K and 5K run will start at Chamorro Village with showtime at 4 and go time at 5. And don't forget about our block party starting at 4 o'clock, complete with food trucks, a kids zone, live entertainment, and a beer garden, so don't forget your ID. This is a bring your own water bottle event. The EFIT Run and Block Party, Saturday, March 9th. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
It's 9:31. I want you to eat at Wendy's today because they have the made-to-crave menu. These people took it and turned it upside down to rock our worlds. It's kind of like the apocalypse in Umbrella Academy. It's that big here. 3 incredible sandwiches. They've got the peppercorn mushroom sandwich that is available there, and we've got a sauce, bacon, cheeseburger that is available on the made-to-crave menu. And for those of you that love barbecue, grilling and the flavors that come from it, they've got a barbecue burger with barbecue sauce on it. Kind of sweet, kind of tangy, kind of country. Find that and the Made to Crave menu at Wendy's.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
What else is happening? Every once in a while, it's what I do. You go, I wonder if there's anything else I need to talk about here today. And there might be a couple of other things in a table of contents. It's just, haven't gotten a whole lot on, but it is a couple of interesting headlines that we've got here. DZSP-21 has won the $106 million defense contract issued by Naval Facilities Engineering Compact as a sole source procurement after the company was deemed to be the only responsible source to satisfy the agency's requirements, according to the award announcement. $106 million. I remember when that sounded like a lot of money. It doesn't feel like it's that big today. Does that feel like somebody got a discount, or maybe that they're looking at different numbers? I don't know. And that's near another story about the Public Health and Social Services issuing a mosquito warning after WUTIP has come down. That to me is kind of interesting, if you don't mind, because the new guy that we're bringing in that's supposed to be running the Guam Solid Waste Authority. And I think the hiring is all done. He said he's looking forward to it. He's going to do some scuba diving and catch some fish down there until Killjoy Sabina's bill becomes law. Oh, and you just know that's what's going to happen. There's going to be people over at the legislature that go, this makes me feel so good about the little fishies not getting shot with the spear guns and those evil scuba diver guys. Oh, yeah. So that's going to go. But anyway, he was once upon a time at the Solid Waste Authority. I want to say it's Pensacola or someplace like that. But he is also in charge of mosquitoes in that county. Don't ask me how those things get together. Maybe they get the same kind of wacky government that we have. But he was in charge of trash and mosquitoes where he's from. So he might be able to bring some expertise to us here that will show us how to live without mosquitoes here on Guam. And pro tip, if you have anything outside the house that is catching water that like the dog's not drinking from or that absolutely has to remain uncut, just tip it over. And don't let water catch there anymore. And that will significantly cut down on the population of mosquitoes in and around your area. Dave Duane is talking about fiber fix might be better to resolve some of the government issues. Bob Kelly chiming in online. Ideally, the insurance companies should be required to do a bid that does not include Guam Regional Medical Center for non-emergency services, but does pay for all emergency services, especially when delivered by medics. There should also be an option to the base price to include GRMC as an option. This should be included in all of the insurance bids for the government of Guam. Like I said, maybe the answer to the question is just stay with the multi-vendor approach. And, you know, you got X number of people in the government of Guam and the retirees, and give it to them like this. Calvo Select Care has these plans. This one includes GRMC. This one doesn't. And if you want that one, then this is what you pay for it. Same thing with Take Care. Same thing with Select Care and what's the Moylan. I was going to include Moylan's their network, but they didn't get paid by the government of Guam last time around anyway. So I don't think they'd come in and make the offer at all now. So not only do we lose money, we're not getting paid on this either. 9:36, had a short conversation with Tello Taitigui where she refused to answer me on how she was going to vote on 30 and 35. Instead, she wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about her legislation that would provide for term limits for senators at the legislature. Yes, term limits. The conversation comes up from time to time. And she pointed out a couple of people that have made in the last bunch of years some attempts at term limits. I've had the conversation. I want to say I recall having a conversation with the chief opinion writer for Doug Moylan, Charles Troutman. And I want to say it was Charlie that told me years ago that the reason why we cannot move on term limits for senators in the legislature is because the qualifications are provided for in the Organic Act. And I finally found the section that I was looking for. It's 1423F, which speaks to the qualifications of legislators. No person, it says, shall sit in the legislature who is not a citizen of the United States. So that's qualification number one. You got to be a citizen and who has not attained the age of 25 years. So you have to be a citizen in the age of 25 years and who has not been domiciled on Guam for at least 5 years. So citizen of the United States, living on Guam for at least 5 years and over the age of 25. And what's the rest of it? Okay, if you have been convicted of a felony or of a crime involving moral turpitude and you have not gotten a pardon restoring your civil rights, you cannot run for senator. Those are the only qualifications that are provided in the Organic Act. And they say that they're kind of hard rail provisions. So if the legislature were to create a law that says that if you had service in the legislature in the previous 3 terms, you would not be eligible to run. Some would say that that is inorganic. The Organic Act provides for those qualifications, and anything in above and beyond that may be deemed inorganic. But it's also possible, and I don't know because I'm not a lawyer. I forgot to go to law school. I tried, but the bus didn't run that day. But I'm wondering if you can look at it and say if it's not one of those things that is provided for in the Organic Act, does that mean that the legislature, that the laws of the territory of Guam, that Congress has given that authority to Guam to sort out? Is that possibly the loophole that they're looking at over at the legislature? And it wasn't clear from the conversation that we had that might be it. But as I said, previous legal minds that I've talked to said, yeah, that's the long and short of it. If unless it's something that is written into the Organic Act that says these are the qualifications or these are the minimum requirements, you cannot apply anything else to that and have that still be organic. So there it is. If you want to look that up and see for yourself how it would work, I'd like to see it. I don't know. There's the term limits thing, and then there's the other one about part-time legislature. Tello's idea is if people know that they're only going to be working, that they're only going to be in there for 6 years, then they will prioritize their efforts. They will prioritize their time. They will prioritize their bills in order to make sure that at the end of those 6 years, They were able to use their time wisely. This could not work for me. This is not going to work for Ray because Ray was the kind of guy. I'm one of those guys. You put a project in front of me and say, okay, when does this need to be done? 3 months. 3 months? Oh, no problem. I'll be able to whip that thing out in 3 months. That's easy. And then 2 months and 3 weeks will go by. That's the way it works in my head. 2 months and 3 weeks will go by, and then I will sit there and cram like you wouldn't believe. So I wonder if maybe it would end up being the same thing for the senators. Where we go, okay, you got 6 years. 6 years? Well, that's plenty of time to get my legislative ideas on bills and laws. That's plenty of time for me to get my paperwork to the governor's desk. That's plenty of time for me to earn my state funeral. I would wait 5 years, 3 months. It'd be a week before the election. And then I'd start working on stuff. It's the Gibson rule, 941. And there it is, the Three Blind Mice. That song's been in my head all morning long. And every time I refer to the legislature, perhaps it might be, it depends on what they do today. Honestly, it will depend on what they do today. There are 15 of them down there. Jimmy Moylan says he's not nuts about 30-35 and may pass on it. May vote no on it. He said he's not going to vote. He's not going to vote in the affirmative on that simply because there's not enough information. But he's one of 15. So what about the other 14? What's going to happen with them? Are they going to? Or will they impress me with their ability to stand up with a straight back, right? With no political machinations. Or legislative tricks up their sleeve and say, I cannot answer the question on what additional cost that is going to be borne by the taxpayers. I cannot answer that question. Therefore, I cannot vote yes on this bill. Bring it back when you've got the numbers, right? I'm wondering how many of them will have the intestinal fortitude, will have the sand in the pit to be able to stand up and say, I don't know. And if I don't know, I can't vote, right? That's what we're all going to be looking at. So session, like I said, about 4:30 this afternoon. They should be in session now. I don't know that I got a note on my deal. I don't know that I got the my YouTube notice that they're in session right now. I'm going to check. I'm just going to look really quick and see what happens in it would be in my mail. Yeah, like I said, you know, this will happen where I've got to try to talk and do something else at the same time and realize that I'm just completely incapable of doing it. Okay, so all inboxes and social, click on that, and does it say anything about YouTube here? No. It doesn't. A bunch of stuff on tweeters, so I don't know. Maybe that line about the Sergeant-at-Arms calling Tello in, maybe that was just bull. And it's okay if it was. Just
yeah. Well, with respect to the
my
senator's
Sergeant
experience and things, question deflection looks like a course that she could take.
Question deflection.
Yeah, something like,
yeah,
Ray, I'm glad you asked that question because I'm very concerned about Bill 3035, but right now I just don't have enough information, which is why we're going into session this morning. I'm actually going to ask some more questions.
That would have been the right way to do that.
Things,
that would have been
figure this out. And right now I just can't tell you how I'm going to vote
but
on
you know, Ted Lewis once wrote a thing about term limits on, and just that was just unelegant.
It was a little bit.
Just inelegant. If you want to know what it is, later on in the program, this program will be a video on demand, and you'll be able to get that on Facebook or on YouTube. I may when I post it on YouTube, I may get that particular sliver out and send it to her and say,
I still have to say,
need practice.
Yeah, I am. I'm still a fan though because she likes my voice.
Yeah, because she likes your voice. Well, that's then forget about everything else. Forget about
nothing else matters.
9:44. I do need to just as an FYI. I don't generally like to go backwards, and I hate apologizing for something that's not my fault. But I will say I was as distressed as everyone at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I was unable to watch Darrell Taggarty take on the Tall Tales program. There was an issue with the system that it was on the air. It was on the radio, but there was an issue with the system that we use for Facebook Live. No, not my fault. Not my fault. I actually came from the house. Because normally I can fix stuff online, right? And it wasn't working online. So like from the house, came back to the radio station and did a full-blown power cycle, unplug, replug.
Wow.
And then the computer came back up. And everything worked. We were able to publish to the point.gu. We were able to publish to YouTube, but we could not publish to Facebook. And I thought, what the heck is this all about? So we weren't able to do Facebook Live for all of yesterday's program. Early morning, even earlier than normal, I reached out to the guy that's in charge of the software, and he likewise hates apologizing for stuff that's not his fault. But apparently, Facebook put another layer of security on top of third-party applications, which is what our Facebook Live is. This is, we're a part of Facebook, but we're not Facebook, and so they put another layer of security on top of these third-party applications, including the ones that are capable of doing Facebook Live, and made it so that my credentials with Facebook were no longer valid. So log in as much as I want to, but because we're still using different software, for us and dozens of other client radio stations that use this system, they put a patch in. So early morning, they installed the patch, and now we're live.
Nice.
So
nice.
If you want to see what Daryl was up to yesterday, you should be able to go to Bob Klitsky's YouTube page. And click on the archives, because that should be there. That should be there, because we were eventually able to log into that starting at about 5 o'clock. And now I'm one of those guys that always looks at the silver lining. Here's the silver lining. The silver lining. I had to come to the office, and we were in Upper Tumon yesterday. And so it's a Upper Tumon. I fight 445 traffic to get here about 5 o'clock, get the system as fixed as I could possibly make it. And I thought, well, I'm here. I'm in the vicinity. And so a friend said, hey, let's go meet at Bamboo Lounge over at Outrigger. I said, what a great idea. Because I was here. Yeah. And they have sashimi that I like. And they've got these, what are they called? It's a steamed dumpling thing. It's Chinese.
Shumai or shupao?
It's not shupao.
Shumai.
Maybe shumai. Yeah. Bring a little steamer to your table.
Yeah.
Goes good with beer. I've yet to find anything that doesn't go good with beer, but at any rate. So that was, okay, I'm in the area. And so I'm down there, and I run into my buddy Val Perez. And Val says, hey, what's up? And I explained to him why I was in town. And he says, oh, you know what? Comes back to me about 5 minutes later. He says, do you know Fred Radewagen? And I said, I do know Fred Radewagen. I know his wife, Amata, who is a congresswoman from American Samoa. And he says, well, Fred Radewagen is on Guam. And I looked at Val and I said, I know he's on Guam, because I follow Fred on Facebook. Fred was actually, it had internet connectivity on the airplane on the way out here, and he was trying to get some of his loyal subjects to keep him entertained. So he's on Facebook asking us to say provocative things to him. And so my provocative things was Oswald acted alone. There are only two genders, and then there was one other thing, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway, so that kept him entertained on a little bit more than Sudoku on his way out here. So Fred this may be an actual warning to the authorities here. Fred Waterwagon is in town, and he's not with his wife. So just FYI, there could be all kinds of crazy things shaking. We'll have to check the magistrate reports tomorrow. It's also possible that Fred might be in the studio. Fred Radewagen's one of those guys. In addition to what he's doing currently on Guam, he's also one of these guys he's a territory watcher, and just always has been. So he knows what's going on at different levels, different places in the governments of all kinds of territories. Obviously, Guam and his wife's place as well. So it will be. I tried to line him up for an interview. I forget when he's leaving, but we will try to get Fred in here in the next day or two to come in and talk about his recent adventures. The last time I was with him and his wife was in San Diego, California, for the annual PIFA show, which is just crazy fun. 9:50 already, right? Tell you what, let me just take this last break of the program and take a look at the last couple of things in the table of contents that I wanted to riff about before it gets to be 10 a.m.
Make the good things last longer. Get 3 more days for free on our 3-day prepaid rate plan. That's 6 days of unlimited local calls, SMS, and 1 gig of 4G LTE data per day for just $7.95. Text HS3 to 3282 from your Docomo Pacific prepaid phone to sign up today. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
At Chili's, our burgers stack up with anyone's. Handcrafted to order, smashed to lock in flavor on a toasted brioche bun. Our burgers are all kinds of perfect. Choose from the Chili's Chili, the Mushroom Swiss, the Ultimate Bacon, or you know what? We dare you to take on the Boss Burger. Loaded with smoked brisket, rib meat, jalapeno cheddar sausage, and bacon. We may have really out-burgered ourselves. Our burgers are more than a handful, served with garlic dill pickles and fries. So hurry in today and enjoy our juicy, melty, yummy, handcrafted creations. Perfection between 2 buns. Chili's, more life happens here.
$9:51, and I'm inspired. Somebody please ask me how you're doing today, Ray, and I will answer inspired. Most of the time I'm amused, but today I am inspired. We were talking earlier about the problem that we've got with these tires that are left out there in the boondocks. That somebody's got to do something about. So you throw it on the shoulders of the EPA, but I just low confidence right now in their ability to go and get that site cleaned up without it costing a fortune for the guys over at the mayor's office. At any rate, so but the idea that Mike had is that you take these tires and you recycle them, you repurpose the rubber of these tires and make them do something else.
Yeah, there are just literally thousands of ways to do it.
So I like the idea. So let's figure out what the technology is to take these tires and shred out the rubber and then do something with the metal that's on the inside, because there's all this
Right. Yeah, you got to get that metal out because the cords.
Yeah, the cords are bad for, I don't know, something. So the answer is, yeah, there are things that we can do with this technology. I just don't know what the technology is that will at least get it to that first step. So, you know, it's easier to store in a landfill and less susceptible to fires and turning into vector traps and mosquito breeding grounds. That's number one. Number two was I was also talking about glass breaking machines and glass grinders. And come to find out, in 2019, these things are not just readily available, but scalable for all kinds of purposes. I mean, if you were running a bar or restaurant, Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association ought to buy up a couple of these things that will crush to the tunes of hundreds of pounds an hour and turn it back into sand. And you sell the sand to the golf courses. You can sell it to the mechanic shops. Anybody that's got to do some sandblasting, and you might be able to sell it to the guys that are doing landscaping. You might be able to sell it to who else needs sand? Contractors, maybe.
Well, exactly, like to the Home Depot or the other hardware store here. What is it?
I don't know what the architectural specs are for glass for sand that used to be glass. Seems to me it shouldn't make much of a difference because glass is made from sand.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's cleaner, comes in colors, that kind of thing. So there, in my mind, and the costs are not that expensive. I mean, you can get a device that will crunch through, you know, hundreds of pieces of glassware for under $2,000. So there's something there. There's an invisible hand solution to this problem. And I was talking earlier about plastic bottles. I hate plastic bottles. I don't have too many solutions for the plastic bottle needs that I have, being a runner and that kind of thing. I'm working through it right now, and maybe I'll have a solution. But there's still, I'm just one guy, right? So all of these plastic bottles that end up in the landfill or that will one day try to recycle, we ought to be able to do it here by taking the plastic bottles, mixing them together, and then melting them and then turning them into something else. I knew the technology existed because I know that they use this on aircraft carriers. Planks made from recycled plastic used to build, okay, get ready, all you social justice warriors, cheap houses. Amazing. The Associated Press did a story on this a few years ago. We don't necessarily need to run the audio, but you'll be able to get an idea of what it is that we're talking about here. There's what looks like any ordinary landfill anywhere else on the planet. There you get the birds. Oh, look, First Hawaiian Bank's got an ad. Let me just click out that. There's an old guy going through there, and what's he looking for? Probably looking for plastic bottles that he can take someplace, and then they will stick it in a machine. All right, typical AP story, long setup. Get to the part of the machine. Where's the machine here? Show me up. Yep. Put it into his. There's a guy in a white jumpsuit, and he's putting stuff inside of a machine, and then it's cutting it into little tiny bits of shreds of plastic. And my guess is there's another piece that comes after this. Looks like they're placing all of these things on some kind of a sheet, and it's probably going to go into something that looks like an oven. Man, this looks like it's going to be a crazy great first job for somebody, doesn't it? And they're going to put a thing on top of it. All right, get me to a finished product. And eventually there it is. They take it out and cut it into pieces that look and act like wood. And you could probably make a kit house out of something like this, because we're talking about the same kind of molds. So you put together like putting together a model kit, right? Where you've got a frame, and inside that frame, this will be wall number 1, this will be wall number 2, and you clip it out with scissors, and you follow the instructions, and before too much longer, you got a house or a storage facility or a classroom or pick any number of uses, and that's made out of plastic. And you figure you make these things thick enough, ought to be able to withstand typhoons, ought to be able to be insurable if you're building it for a house or some kind of a dwelling. I don't know what these machines cost, but I think we understand what the cost is to the environment, and maybe the avoided additional cost of having to build additional cells to the tune of $20 million apiece over at the Guam Solid Waste Authority, which in my mind makes these pieces of equipment may be eligible for this where is it, private activity bonds that they've got. I don't know. I got to get a hold of Melanie Mendiola and run this idea behind her. They have a thing, $9.3 million available in private activity bonds for solid waste disposal fees. So I'm wondering if there's a way that we might be able to get private investors using these private activity bonds to support the purchase of the industrial equipment to use to make plastic into wood or a wood-like substance, to shred tires, and to ground glass. And then you've got multiple products at the end of it that you can use, and the avoided cost of stuff over in the landfill. I don't know. It makes sense to me, and I want to see what happens.
You're talking about the potential there for a Guam export industry in recyclable products.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
We could actually make a lot of money off of this.
I guess. That wasn't my intent. My intent simply is, as I said, there's an invisible hand solution. I don't know what the numbers are going to get to end up being. Hey, look, if all we do is make it easier for us to be able to build affordable housing, because there's one less thing that we don't need to import this in. It's here already. Right. We just got to get it out of the boondocks and off the beaches and into something that can make these walls or beams or boards. All right. Now, it's closing in on the end of the program, and I always want to leave you with something useful. And I know you're going, I sat for 3 hours and 58 minutes, and you're just now going to give me something useful. It's a bargain, isn't it? It's throw me a parade. Public bathrooms can be cringeworthy, but they're impossible to avoid. If you need to make a pit stop on the go, a smart strategy. In a restroom with multiple stalls, try to get the one closest to the door. Why? Most people will skip over it and go to the middle stalls, making it the least used and, chances are, the cleanest. This advice probably doesn't work for anywhere in the Department of Education school system or any of their facilities. Or any of the facilities that are maintained by the Department of Parks and Recreations. But try it out yourself. Try it out yourself. Just go and see what happens when you start knocking on doors. So what a great way to make new friends. 9:59 and change the radio station is KUSG. Haggadah. My name is Ray Gibson. There's Michael Knight in the studio. Kevin Kerrigan, who has been and gone but will be back again tomorrow. And Blake Watson and I are going to try really hard tomorrow to find some sports to talk about. So you might want to stay with us here on this radio station. Daryl Taggarty on the radio and on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and thepoint.gu starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon, unless Joe breaks something again. Until then, until tomorrow morning, we'll see what happens, right? Watch the legislature today. It'll be worth every second. 15 blind mice. 15 blind mice.
A rebuke. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
On this vote, the yeas are 245, the nays are 182. The joint resolution is passed without objection. The motion reconsidered is laid on the table.
The House passing a measure that would undo President Trump's declaration of a national